Nowadays the pain follow me, deal with trauma privately. I don't wanna be a burden, I handle things defiantly. Spent a decade searching for a higher power guiding me. Figured out that faith is not up there, that it's inside of me. Act with execution, what's a plan with zero action? Faced with bad habits, knowing it's a magnet to my imbalance. I'm somewhere between confidence and arrogance. The middle ground is treacherous, I work on getting out of it. Pops is looking down, I feel him every time the sun shine. Back to being unsigned, I only got my bloodline. With me going forward, smoking cookie till we dumb high. I heard you taking shots, we pulled up on them, they was gun shy. 2 p.m. in Rome, we at the chapel eating sun-dried tomatoes and a plum wine. Life been like a movie, I don't know how long the run time. Hope it's an extended cut, but when I died, I load my consciousness onto a thumb drive. And upload it to the masses when I pass. All my sets is holographic, life's as real as you imagine. My Jewish girl was tight, cause I ain't linker on the Sabbath. But it's Friday and I got a few robins I need a bask in. Playing traffic, if you wanna play the faction. We don't act, we getting active, stacking cash and dodging taxes. My father was a Catholic, never taught me how to practice. But with music, I'm a Baptist. Christian all these fucking tracks, I bless these raps with. Standing in the middle of the mine. Shit, baby, both sides caving on the drive. Praying to my pops and the gods. God, please help me out. Can you spare me for once? Spare me for once. Hey, 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 yeah. Can you spare me for once? Spare me for once. Hey, I ain't asking for much. No.
We watch history. We make history. And one day we become it. Drop some buckets, and then we kick the bucket. Just trying to reach the peak before I finally plummet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the mute bug got me. It's a mutation. Thank you guys for being here tonight. I got my co-host in the building tonight. Lost in Transmission is in the building tonight. All right, I got my on the ball here, brother. JT is back there. When he turns his camera on, I'll bring him up. JT is in the building as well, man. Hey, Lost in Translation, what's going on with you, brother?
Everything is everything, man. I just finished up another successful live once again this evening, man. I appreciate y'all coming out, man, supporting the brother, man. That really means a lot to me, man.
Hey, and you know what? Tell them how they can get on there and watch you too, the brother, because we need to get you, everybody needs to know when you go live.
You know what? Here's the thing. Tonight was a spur of the moment thing. A friend of mine, Greg, he's a pastor, and he asked me at the last minute to go ahead and go live with him tonight along with Shakira, because he has a radio channel. So tonight he's just like, hey man, can you come on in? So I was like, you know what? I think this is a conversation that we probably really need to share with everybody, because it's different. You know what I'm saying? Everybody needs to get a little something different. People talk about echo chambers. So sometimes we want to give people a little something different to wrap their mind around. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But I do appreciate everybody for coming out, and also Quiet Storm for the Cash App. I appreciate you. I want to let you know I appreciate that, man. Absolutely.
And I also want to kick a shout out to Crystal, because Crystal is the number one, man, listen, Crystal, I just want to say thank you so much for all that you do. She'll sponsor the show at the beginning of the show, and then she'll come right back and sponsor it in the middle of the show, then come right back again at the end, because she loves the content. So just to have people like that backs you, man, and really loves your content and what we do here, man, I appreciate it so much. I really, really do. And so thank you so much for that. Now, we got some people in the chat tonight. And Lawson, I want you to go ahead and let the people know who's in the chat tonight. And then we're going to get right into the show, my brother.
First of all, we want to make sure we recognize the one and only Clement in the building.
Clement, also, my brother.
We got Crystal Light in the building. I appreciate you, darling, for supporting the channel. We also got Lady Naveau in the building. We get the ladies and sprinkles, man. You know what I'm saying? We also got Trey Ferg. Also, Mr. Bennett in the building. Also, we have Almond Eyes. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And who else do we have? I want to make sure we didn't miss nobody, man. Let's talk about it. Let's talk to Better Black Life. They're in the building as well, too, man. So I want to make sure we didn't leave nobody yet. I think that's about it, man, so far. Oh, What We Know Podcast, JT in the building. Yes, sir. We know we got to bring him out right.
Absolutely.
And also we got to embrace the
We got something for everybody.
That's right. We got something for everybody.
Some for everybody. So I want to bring up my brother. I want to start by bringing up a few people first. Mr. Bennett, the extraordinaire Mr. Bennett, who was a model. I didn't know Mr. Bennett was a model. I saw Mr. Bennett on some pictures. He could have been in Vogue magazine on the front cover. So I want to introduce the president of the Bald. I'm gonna let him do it. Mr. Bennett is in the building tonight. What's going on, Mr. Bennett?
It's good to see you guys tonight. Welcome, everyone, to the BMU network. And yes, I am the president of the bold and the beautiful, the beneficent, the benevolent Bald brothers of the BMU network. It's good to be with the follically free tonight, as well as our follicle brothers. Again, we strive for peaceful coexistence with the follicle world. So, but we're just trying to bring out and encourage brothers to celebrate your baldness and let your baldness shine before men, that your God may glorify, they may glorify the God in heaven because of that. So we're just happy to be here with you guys tonight. Looking forward to a great show.
All right, man. I appreciate you. Now we're gonna bring up another Bald brother in the building tonight. We got JT from What We Know Podcast in the building tonight.
What's going on, man? What's poppin'?
What's happening, JT?
What's
Welcome
going
back,
on with you,
sir.
brother? Good to see you, man.
Hey, man, it's always good here, bro. It's always good. It's Tuesday, y'all.
It's Tuesday, brother. It's Tuesday. All right. Now, I wanted to, I want to bring up the ladies, brother. The ladies who's going to grace us with their presence tonight. The first lady, she said, you know what? You got to embrace me, but I'm going to give you grace. Somebody call up, embrace the grace. But before we bring her up, if you say anything that she don't understand or she don't get, she's going to say something.
Confused.
Embrace the grace, ladies and gentlemen. She's in the building tonight.
Welcome.
How you doing, gentlemen? That absolutely just tickles me. You know that?
It does. I'll be laughing. You have me rolling. All right. All right. So we have now. Listen. We got a boss chick in the building tonight. She got her hair done different tonight. I don't know if her boo thing over there. Maybe he may walk past her while she on the camera tonight. I don't know if she got her glass of wine over there. Like I don't know what Anissa got going on back here tonight. But she looking different. And Trey ain't here, so he must have lost. Anissa's in the building tonight.
Yes, indeed. Welcome.
Girl in the night, yeah.
What's
She got the
going
glass
on?
ready.
How are you? How
Good
are you?
evening, everybody.
Good
Doing
evening,
well, doing
Anissa.
well.
Now, and Anissa, you never talk about your selection. Do you just pick a different based on the show? Do you pick a different wine, a different
I
year?
do. I was gonna ask BMU if I would be allowed to do that from now on. The selection tonight is called Bonanza. I am a Camus fan, for anyone who enjoys Camus Cabernets. So this is Bonanza.
Oh, I thought you said cannabis. I'm sorry.
No.
Go ahead.
Wait a minute.
My bad. I thought she said cannabis. My bad. I thought
I
she
heard
did
that.
not. My
Hey,
bad.
I
Go
heard
ahead.
that
I'm
pairs
sorry.
well with the podcast. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I'm trying to expand my palate with reds. I would not drink a red ever, but now I'm getting into it. So it's a Cabernet. It is by Camus, and it has a taste of, what did it say? Oak, raspberry jam, and chocolate. So it's a Cabernet, and it's good. I like it. I enjoy it. So if he will allow me, I will tell you about my selections when I bring them on.
Absolutely. Yes. Come on now. Have your way, sugar.
Culture.
All right. Now I do want to bring up the last but not least at all. She is she works the chat very, very well. She's a supporter of everybody's channel here. You've seen her if you haven't seen her in your chat, you're not really doing nothing. And now she's gracing her with her presence tonight. Let's give it up for yours truly. Almond Eyes is in the building tonight.
Welcome, Almond Eyes. How are you this evening?
Good evening.
Hey, I'm well. How are you?
It's good to see you. Good to see you. All right. So guys, you see the title of the show tonight. Who's really in control of the box? Oh, yes. We've been seeing videos for the last week. We don't even have to show them no more. We had a 70-year-old woman saying, don't submit to no man. I've been married twice. Even if you're a good man, don't submit to him. If he's doing what he's supposed to do, don't submit to him, because he just ain't the woman don't have to do none of that. So we'll start there. Anissa, because we got to break the ice here tonight. Have you seen the video, first of all? And if you've seen it, what are your thoughts about Della Reese's grandmother?
I have not seen the video. I did not see that one.
Lord have mercy.
Do you have it? Do you have it?
I can get it for you. Just keep talking, baby. I get it. You know, I get it. I'll have it for you quickly here. Go ahead.
Okay. I haven't seen the video, but I just based off of what you just said, I would disagree with her. We are to submit to our husbands, and especially if you have a good man. You know, if you have a good man, I've said it before on here. I think it's an absolute honor to be a wife. And I think if you have a good man and he's doing the things that he's supposed to do to lead and protect and cover you, and I think we have to learn that it's in our best interest to submit to our husbands. It's not a bad thing. It's in our best interest to do so. So, not having seen the video, I would disagree with whatever she said. She's 70. She should know better.
Yeah, she been married twice. She outlived 4 dogs and 2 husbands. Harmonize.
She don't know
What are
better.
your
She know bitter.
Right, there you go. I like that. Clippable. Go ahead, Alma. So what are your thoughts, Harmonize, about the 70-year-old virgin who is saying that no one should submit to any man?
I have seen her several times. I'm totally confused by it, because my thing is, why would you be marrying somebody you have no respect for, you can't submit, you don't trust, they're not, anything that you want them to be, why are you getting married? So to me, that says more about her discernment and thought process than it does about me. The fact that she's gone through this twice, she's had the same results, she's obviously had time to think about it, and she's still with the same conclusion. So she confused me.
Thank you. Embrace the grace. What are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts is this is why she's been divorced twice, because obviously what she has done is not working, and it isn't working because as a woman, it is in our job description to be submissive. Any other way is uncivilized, and that's why she's going to buy a dog and die alone and not be married, because she's going against the grain, and that's all the results you'll get. And unfortunately, she out here telling these young girls that, and there's somebody's going to listen and abide by it and have the same results that she's getting. So I'm confused.
Mr. Bennett, what are your thoughts?
Well, I worry more about the people who listen to her than what she's actually saying, because she clearly doesn't have the fruit on the tree to really speak with any authority on it. And it just seems like it's just a self-fulfilling prophecy that she comes in with a lot of distrust, and where that trauma comes from, God only knows where the origin of that is, but it manifests itself in a relationship and she doesn't have it, and just reinforces I guess her victim mentality when it comes to relationships. And now she's sharing that with others who, they may have gone through that experience and they may be just totally innocent to it, but she has really nothing to offer. But I just worry about people who always look for the worst case scenario, or the ones that are the most bitter. That especially if you're a young woman, or man for that matter, if you're looking for marriage or a long-term relationship, to seek out those who have it and seek out more positive channels and influencers who promote it, and learn from them. And that's just wisdom, and you can't learn that from someone who's been burnt and bitter. So I worry more about why are people listening to her more so than what she's actually saying, because she shouldn't really have any relevancy, but unfortunately the hurt ones oftentimes get the biggest audience in these YouTube streets.
JT, and then Lawsuit.
Yeah. I mean, Mr. Bennett said it all, man. At the end of the day, when you look at a woman of her age, and to hear her speak the way that she was speaking, man, even when she was asking questions when there was no one to answer those questions. Why should I submit? Like somebody could actually answer that while she was talking, So yeah, that's all it is a bitter woman that failed in probably multiple relationships, not only those two marriages, those two failed marriages, but I can just imagine how many guys, after they got to know her, didn't want to deal with her. So I ended with that.
Lost.
You know, I see a lot of women like her in these streets, man, like in real life, where they've actually have not understood exactly the nature of a relationship. You know what I'm saying? They're always making withdrawals and they're never making deposits. You know what I'm saying? And they wonder why their bank account is overdrawn. You know what I'm saying? The relationships are overdrawn. You know, what do you give to somebody who continues to take and you don't have nothing else to give? You know what I mean? And my thing is if she's always saying, you know, don't give to a man, don't submit to a man, then what kind of men are you really attracting? You know what I'm saying? Are you the type of woman who attracts the type of man that you desire in your life? And why wouldn't you want to take care of the man who's taking care of you? So the thing about it is, unless you clear that mess out of your heart, you ain't gonna get nothing of value. All you're gonna get is continue to get what you've been getting. So my thing is this: beware of those who burn bridges or who have nothing good to say about people in general. So those are the type of people that don't want to be around those people. So they shape their own viewpoint in life because they don't add any value to not only personal relationships, then the relationships around them in general. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is just beware of people, man, who don't have nothing good to say about nobody.
Man, I appreciate that, brother. My perspective is this: when you have gone through life and you've given yourself away at a value, at a disvalue, you're not as worth it as what you thought you once were, and you're not as cute as you thought you once were, right? You're 68, 70, right? So somebody you washed up, you're done. And for that reason, you're looking back and saying, damn, I didn't take advantage of the opportunities I could have had at a young age. And now I have to die. In the words of the great Take Heed to the Message, the last people you're going to see is the doctor and the nurse before you close your eyes, because nobody else will be there to watch you die. No family, no children, no nothing, and at this age, for you to have one foot in the grave already, and you still promoting this, says a lot about you and your character and who you are. To tell these young women not to submit to a man when they should actually see the evidence of, if you don't do it, the evidence of it is you. They should look at you as the standard of what it's like to be miserable for 71 years. But I digress. But I do want to say this. Sir Hale Speaks is in the building tonight. He said, don't forget the chaplain. He'll be there. The chaplain will be there. Sir Hale, you walk in the room with the Bible.
Hey, black man.
Yeah.
Guess who here?
Man, you know what? Before I bring him up, just give me a second.
The toughest things any man has ever done is turn down a nice piece of willing, steaming ass piece of pussy.
Our Pain is in the building tonight. Our Pain,
the one and only. Our
the
Pain,
one and the only.
Not in front of the ladies, man. Come on, man.
Listen, you told your truth. Women love men who tell the truth. And so
we stand behind your truth, Our Pain.
Right. We thank you for your contribution
Hello.
to the network tonight, because you said ain't no man gonna turn down a steaming nothing. Then JT came back last week and said
with the Diggling museums. Yes.
So there's a lot going on in these streets, Our Pain. There's a lot going on in these streets. But thank you for being here tonight, my brother. You saw the video of the Cobweb sister. What are your thoughts?
Well, I didn't see it, but I heard y'all talking about it. So listen, I'm trying to turn over a new leaf. I think people should be allowed to make their own bed. I was going to say dig their own grave, but make their own bed. I think one of the things that men need to do is find our own peace by letting people make their own decisions. Now, she's telling people stuff, but some people are going to hear her, some people aren't. But we could only save the ones who want to be saved. You know what I'm saying? Bad messages are going to always be out there. And I think our job is to always put out good ones. You know, just like with my little soliloquy that you keep putting up. One of the things I'm thinking about in the future is how men need to have more discernment. And that's what I was talking about. When you get to that point where you can start making decisions, when it's the hardest, it's where we need to be. So if she's telling people all that kind of stuff, some women will listen, some won't. And we need to find the ones who won't. And then the ones who do, you got to make sure they're not our daughters. That's all I'm saying. You got to make sure they're not our daughters.
Absolutely. I agree with that. I want to hop right into this conversation because I think it'll carry us here. Who's really in control of the box is a good question. There's a lot of different aspects you can go with that question, because we have, I want to start out with my body, my choice.
Okay.
We talked about this very, very briefly. Me and Arpain yesterday after his show. We had a great show yesterday, Mr. Boomer. And we talked about it. My body, my choice. And I want to just ask everybody on the panel here, because I don't want everybody to know what everybody's perspective is. So we'll start with Anissa. Anissa, when women are saying, my body, my choice, what are they saying from a woman's perspective?
Well, like you said, that can be addressed so many things that we're talking about. My body, my choice, oftentimes is talking about the sexual liberation. It is my body, my choice if I choose to have a child or not. My body, my choice if I choose to explore my options, as many options as I want sexually. You know, while I'm single, I can do everything that a man can do. I can have just as many partners as a man, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. So generally, when I think about it, that's what I think about, that women today feel liberated, and they feel that they can do what they want, and they oftentimes feel like there are no repercussions for their position on that.
So Anissa, do you feel as if, do you agree with the term "my body, my choice"?
You know, that's kind of loaded question for me. I think that ultimately I think it depends on the woman that you're talking about. If you're talking about a single woman, she does have authority over her body, and to make those decisions. Of course, if it's a married woman, then she does not have authority over her body. So I think it depends on, you know, what state that woman is in her life.
Harmonize. When you hear "my body, my choice," what are you hearing?
Justification. Plain and simple. It's justification for whatever decision they've made at the time that they feel good about. Because with my body, my choice, when the decision goes awry or the intended outcome is not received, then you don't hear my body, my choice. So it's just a justification tactic.
Embrace the grace. My body, my choice.
When I hear my body, my choice, my mind automatically goes to the deletion of a child. Okay. But my mindset has changed because I was pro-choice. And when I got deeper into the Bible and really started realizing how women used to abuse that, I was happy when Roe got overturned. But at the end of the day, it really isn't our body, because I had to fight my doctor for 2 years for him to tie my tubes. And it was my body, but because he chose not to sign off on it, I couldn't get that surgery. And I just realized that I committed a sin. I was very hurt when I saw it on a podcast that getting your tithes, I thought I was doing it to better myself and make sure that, you know, I got divorced. I'm not going to be out here trying to have, you know, any more babies at my age. But at the end of the day, I wasn't supposed to do that. And I had to ask for forgiveness, because it really isn't our body. It's God's body. And then when we get married, it's our husband's body. Even the doctor, even your body belongs to the doctor because he can refuse to do something. I mean, you can go to another country and you can get it. But I fought my doctor for 2 years before he finally gave in to me. So I think it depends on the circumstances. My body, my choice. But it always goes back to the deletion of a child. And at the end of the day, it really is in your body because now you have a child in there and he's needing your body to survive. And now it's, you understand? So I don't agree with it in a lot of different levels, but at the end of the day, people are going to do what they're going to do, and that's something that's going to have to be between them and their maker.
All right, we asked the women respectfully, and so I want to hop over to the men. Lost in translation, if you want to guide our men through this question, and pick one.
Different.
Yeah. What are your thoughts? But before we do, Sir Hell Speak says the issue is when my body, my choice impacts the oneness that's supposed to occur after holy matrimony. You can't be independent and one with your spouse. I agree with that 100%. We're gonna definitely address that in a minute. And then we had let's see, hold on, I got one more here that was just shocking to me. It says my body, Alex, here we go. He said it is her body and definitely her choice, even if married. We're going to address that one as well. Thank you, Alex. We're going to get to that in a minute. But go ahead, Lost in Translation. Lead our guys through this question because I definitely want to hear what they got to say.
You know what? When I hear my body, my choice, I think it's a scapegoat, man. I really do. Because at the end of the day, when you say my body, my choice, it should be my body, my responsibility. You know what I mean? You shouldn't be relying on somebody else to take care of what you need to have taken care of. You know what I'm saying? So I think that when we get back to the point where you're responsible, then yes, it's your body, your choice. You know what I'm saying? After all, you have to live your life. You see what I'm saying? But my thing is this, you're also responsible for the choices that you make. And I honestly believe that if you're going to say my body, my choice, it should also be my body, my responsibility as well, too. And we're going to lead out with Trey this time. Trey, welcome to the show, sir. You're up.
What's going on?
What's happening, man?
Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's her body. She can do whatever the hell she wants with her body. The issue isn't about the choice. It's about who they put the responsibility on and what they do when they refuse to be responsible. So if it's your body, then by definition, it's your choice. Then by definition, it's your responsibility. So if it's your responsibility, then you can stop looking at the men and calling them men deadbeats and calling them men this and calling them men that when it was your body, your choice, your responsibility. Now, I fought the other side of this because I also believe that men need to be responsible, but that's not the topic tonight. But I will say that that responsibility is a shared responsibility. So if that responsibility is shared, then it is your body. Yes, it's your choice, and it is your responsibility again. So absolutely, it's your body and it's your choice. But let's not leave out the responsibility point, like Liz said.
Our pain, you up, sir?
Yeah. Listen, first, there's a couple of things with this. One, and I guess some pushback on this. Women are the sole leaders of the sexual marketplace. I know men don't like to hear that shit, but they are. We enjoy it. We take part in it, but we don't control that. They do. And I believe their promiscuity or their chasteness determines how men are going to behave, unless they want to break the law. And so I do, first of all, I use it to distinguish between accountability and responsibility. A woman is accountable for who they let in their body. Doesn't matter how much a man wants her and all that shit. She can say no, and the law actually supports that. Because if anybody takes her without her permission, it's a crime in every 50 states, everywhere. So she's accountable for who she lets in. Now, a guy who's stupid enough and, irresponsible and lacks discernment, and he actually gets her pregnant, they share the responsibility. But the responsibility has different weights. She's responsible for keeping the kid or deleting it, but the guy loses all control over his life for the next 20-something years. And that's where discernment for a man has to come in. But he's still responsible. I can dig that. So you can't get away with it. But he's not accountable for getting in there, because men will take sex from a woman any way she give it. So she's, if my daughter ever got pregnant, I wouldn't blame the dude unless it was a crime. I would blame her for going against my teaching and letting some asshole get in there. So I'll just land it there. So it's a woman's accountability for who they let in. If things happen, then it's a shared responsibility. That's the way I distinguish between the both.
Appreciate it, Arpane. Mr. Bennett, it's on you, sir. My body, my choice.
Okay. A lot of my views on this have been informed by just things I've seen over my life. When I was a kid, I used to watch those Save the Children ads in Africa, where you have these third world countries where you have these babies are being born to die. Or you saw them with the swelled up stomachs, and you saw them with the flies over them and things like that. So that's always stuck with me, regardless of what I've learned since then. So life itself, for me, is not necessarily worth living when you have conditions that are not conducive for that person becoming an adult. So, I've never thought that just being born is enough. I think children need to be wanted, and I think they need to be in a nurturing environment. So I've always been more on the choice side here. And when I hear my body, my choice, certainly I think women having control over the contraceptives that they use, their desire to have children, I think is totally theirs. And if there are circumstances, I do agree that certainly when you get married, certainly from a spiritual perspective, you are responsible to one another. Your body's not your own, it belongs to the spouse. But that being said, I don't think women should be violated. And I think in cases where, grape or, I don't want to say these words, but I think there needs to be exceptions in that. I think when you see these cases like in Texas, where you had that woman who was going to have a baby that was terminal, that 1 in 5,000 chance of surviving, and she couldn't leave the state, or was forced to leave the state, and they were going to make her have that baby. I can definitely see my body, my choice in that regard. So again, I tend to side more on that side than not. And as far as, since Roe v. Wade overturned, I don't think the numbers have dropped dramatically at all. In fact, I think in some areas it's actually increased as far as the number of deletions. So, for those who initially said, it's a states' right issue, they got what they wanted, and now they want to make it a national issue. And I don't think it's changing. And I being my conspiratorial self, I think it has nothing to do with the preservation of all people. I think it's the preservation of white people, because that population by 2043 is going to be the minority in this country. And it's mostly white women who are the originators of the feminist movement and whatnot. They're choosing not to have as many children as before. And these black and brown populations are growing. And so a lot of these efforts are simply to preserve that section of the population. So I think there's a political movement behind that, beyond just what people might going to go to the Bible and quote this or that or whatever. But I just think that there's more to this, because I don't think these people really care that there's an increase in black and brown children. In fact, they're scared to death of it. So that I kind of operate in that space. But generally, when women say that, I think, certainly I embrace it in those circumstances. But I think, as Loss said earlier, yes, with that choice comes responsibility, and you also need to deal with the consequences of your actions. So I'm definitely not looking to take that away from people. And I was, especially when I would see in, urban centers where you had this women who just had multiple children and whatnot. For the longest time, I just believed that if a woman gets pregnant multiple times, if you're in that office, and again, this is totally extreme, I thought things should be done that she shouldn't be pregnant again. If you're going to be that irresponsible when you're having 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 deletions, something needs to be done about that. And so I just don't think that it's good in all circumstances. And there's too many circumstances, especially, like I said, in other countries where it's a disaster out there, and these babies and these folks have no future. And for them to be forced to have these babies in those situations, I just think I just don't see that. So I may stand apart from everybody else on the panel, but that's how I see it.
Now, I like to lighten the mood a little bit, because I feel like we about to go deep in this
JT.
thing.
We gotta
And
get JT in there.
yeah, I'm gonna get JT. JT, give me just a minute.
Okay.
Let me tell you what I did one night. You know, I always got to throw something in there that's gonna make y'all laugh. One night I was, you know how you get up, you go pee. You say, "Oh man, I gotta go pee," and I'm looking up at the TV, and there's one of those commercials that Mr. Bennett was talking about the kids, flies all over them and stuff. And it's just sad, you know. And I reached, I said, "Man, let me get my wallet, bro. I ain't no way I can just keep watching this, and I send this 45 cents a day." So I got my wallet out, and I looked back up at the TV, Mr. Bennett. Let me tell you what I saw. I saw about a 350-pound pig walk across the screen. I put my wallet back down. And I said, I'm trying to understand how they saying these kids are hungry. And it's a big ass 350-pound pig just walking all freely down the street like he ain't got no, like he owned the place. I say, wait a minute. I ain't hear no pig squealing. I ain't hear no pig being roasted. They were friends with their food.
Well, look, that's religion for you. So, I mean, again, a lot of those countries that you're talking about are Muslim countries, so swine can't be eaten. If you go to India, there's cows all over. In fact, the cows in India, they're the ones that are contributing to a lot of the ozone, ozone problems that the methane problems that we're having. But cows are sacred, so they don't eat them. So
because of their waste. Yeah.
Yes.
Man, cows are delicious.
So I'm just saying that would help a lot right there if they just start eating meat, but that goes against their religion also. So
Lost, we couldn't be nowhere near that pig. All you gonna hear.
No, you gonna hear. Hey, be out of here.
JT, what you got for us, brother? I just want to lighten it up just a little bit. JT, what you got for us, man?
That's great.
Crazy, man. Yeah, that's what made me put it up too. I seen that big ass pig. I said, I don't give a damn. His ass was gonna be eating. No, hell no. But back to the topic. My body, my choice is definitely a lie. It is a lie used as a weapon to keep us separate, y'all. It is a lie. They're liars. They turn you into being a liar. And when you started, like what we were talking about, it gets very sticky. Talking about my body, my choice. We hear a whole bunch of stuff and they attach that with sexual liberation. Like it was something wrong with sexual conservative or being sexually conservative. What happened to that? Why is this sexual liberation thing? That's a lie too. Anybody can get it, is what they're saying. When we talk about these laws and all of these different things, it just got to the point where the answer is, okay, your body, your choice, my money, my choice. It should be what's good for the goose is good for the gander also, if we're going to have that type of talk. However, when you say that and you start speaking like that, what happens? The losers are still going to be who? The offsprings. So at the end of the day, what I came to a consensus of as a man, it ain't my damn problem till you make it my problem. It ain't my goddamn problem. I don't care anything about it. You on your own. All that shit y'all want to talk about, Roe v. Wade and all that shit, you on your goddamn own. All of it is a lie. At the end of the day, you have to be conservative with your body, period. All that liberation shit is for the birds. So until we stop this bullshit and get the man back involved, I have nothing to say about that whole situation anymore when it comes down to her body, her choice, because it's not. If that was the case, then you would not be able to take that baby's life then, because it ain't your body. You have another body inside you. So shouldn't that be your responsibility? I ended with that.
Man, we had Grant just come in the building, man. Shout out to Grant, man. Thank you for being here tonight.
Yeah, thank you. For,
what is your perspective? My body, my choice, Grant. I know you're gonna give us some jewels. So go ahead.
Yeah, I'm most certainly on the side of women having full body autonomy. I think we can sit around and sort of make fun of slogans, correct? Just as much as white people make fun of Black Lives Matter, I do think we can realize that something like Black Lives Matter is a lot more nuanced than sort of the surface sloganeering. But if we were to talk about how the impacts of African Americans on when it comes to the number of kids today that live in poverty, the kids that don't have access to sort of basic needs, it's strange that as a community that we would say that we are frustrated with, sort of deletions, yet we have high rates of children who aren't being cared for. And matter of fact, we know that as sort of we've liberalized sort of notions of sort of those sorts of deletions, there are correlations between limited neglect. Also, there's going to limit the number of sort of what we believe. Not just looking at African Americans, we're looking at the sort of levels of criminality that comes out of kids that are neglected. And so you can't just look at these things as sort of being this sort of narrow band of decisions and then say that they don't have sort of a much larger sort of component to them that can be detrimental to African Americans, and obviously much larger for Americans in general. So I think we just need to be mindful of the fact that we want to give everyone the ability to have those freedoms, to not restrict access to this medical care for all women. And again, for women who don't want it, they still have the choice. Obviously, being pro-choice is important in this, the choice not to do it. And for the women who do decide to do it, I don't imagine most of them are going into the idea of doing it very frivolously. And I know we can find always people sort of anecdotally that have done something stupid, correct? Like that we can all agree. But it doesn't take away the idea that doesn't take away from the idea that we should have these sort of freedoms, correct? We live in a liberal democracy. We want to uphold the notions of the being a liberal democracy and give everyone access to the notions of what freedom looks like. If we want to go to more draconian ideas of what it means to live, there are a number of countries who do that, and they aren't thriving. And so you can sort of have an idea of sort of fantasize about going back to some notion when America was great, but that greatness doesn't exist. And so we should remove ourselves from that sort of delusion and realize that we should be able to give women and men more tools to make better decisions early on. So I'll give you one example. African American girls, and I'm talking about girls, not women now, specifically girls, are more likely to be sexualized earlier than any other group. And so when those girls, who are often not by any other group, by Black men, and obviously by Black women as well, are going to be sexualized earlier, they're more likely to be sexually active earlier. So in essence, could we prevent young girls, Black girls, from engaging in earlier sexual activity that sort of gives them a better chance of success later? And the answer would be yes, because we can see that happening across other demographics. And so I would say we could take a much more intelligent approach to it versus just saying all things are bad all the time, therefore do it my way. And I'm not arguing for someone to do it just my way. I'm just pointing out I want to give everyone access to information to make hopefully good decisions.
So Grant, I want to bring this up because I think a few people in the chat as well as on the panel disagree with your with you, and so but this is the part of the conversation. So I want to go to Almanize first. Almanize that a response to Grant's soliloquy about my body, my choice. What are your thoughts as a woman?
It's crap. I'm stuck on the medical care part. How is having unprotected sex, getting pregnant, and then going asking to get hooked up to a whole necessary medical care? That's foolishness. Like, no, that all of that. I'm sorry, was crap. Sorry, no, I can't ride with any of that. But I'm 45 years old, and I've managed to not need that type of medical care. And again, if that's something you want to do, then you figure out how to get it done and pay for it, and leave the rest of us out of it. But this whole medical care part, yeah, no, that's offensive to women with good sense.
Well, because some people would say if you want to make that a part of the medical part of it, you should also make mandatory DNA testing a part of the medical as well. When a child is born, It should be absolutely. Embrace the grace as a woman as well on the panel tonight. What are your thoughts on Grant's soliloquy about my body, my choice?
When it comes to the deletion, I only think that it's acceptable when a grape has been involved or terminal illness is involved. But any other route is the easy way out. I mean, we're not holding women accountable, and they're using it as a method of birth control versus like a last resort. So I don't agree with that, and it took me a long time to get here because I was pro-choice, my body, but when you look at deeper of what's happening and what a woman is doing and how it's really destroying our community, no, man. I live right down a Planned Parenthood center, and it's heartbreaking the things that you see coming in and out of there, and it's really sad. It really is. So I only think when it's a grape involved or a medical emergency. You can always make another baby, but you can't make another mother or another woman. You know, you can't make that person. But other than that, I think it's just it's foolishness. It really is.
But you know what, Grace? The crazy part is most of the women who conceive via, you know what I'm saying, rape had them babies. About 96% of the time they.
And then when these ladies really want to have a baby, they can't have one because all the scar tissue.
They've been hooked up 17 times. Yeah.
You know, you got to think about what you're doing. Just be more mindful.
Isn't that
go
their
ahead.
choice?
Isn't that what?
Isn't that their choice?
It is.
No, it's not your choice to terminate a life. No, it's not your choice. It's no longer your body. It belongs to that child, so he can grow and become and live. It's you're an incubator now. That's what you are now. You're just an incubator.
You're saying that a fetus or a child is capable of making a decision?
No, but he has the right to live and be born.
Says who?
Right.
Says God. Says God.
I'm atheist. Now what?
I cannot speak. I can't. I really don't have much to say with people that are atheists because that's too far away from my spectrum. You know, I can't even imagine people walking around.
Church and state a long time ago.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Separated church and state a long time ago.
Well, that's the problem. We took God out of everything, but we kept it in the money, and God we trust.
Why do I have to believe what you believe?
I'm not saying you have to believe it, but you should believe in a higher being.
No, you literally just told me that I have no choice but to believe what you believe. If I don't believe in God, then I'm not doing it the right way.
Yeah, and and by the way,
hang on, Grant. Let her answer.
Oh, sorry, Trey.
She grown.
I mean, I think before I speak, so I don't trip over my words.
Listen, listen, Grace. I'm pro-life. I'm just giving you a hard time. But
I understand, and that's good.
But I want us to think in a whole concept. I agree with you that the deletions should only happen in medical emergencies, grapes, and situations of incest. I completely agree with you. If it were up to me, there would be no such thing. It would be those conditions and those conditions alone, and the grape would have to be seen through. It would have to be seen through in that 9 months. You can't just point to somebody and say, "Oh, he raped me." We would have to go all the way through it. Somebody needs to be arrested. Right? So I'm with you. But I want you to think that we're not in a time where religion or Christianity or whatever you believe in is the prominent thought. You got a lot of people out here that don't believe in God anymore. So how do we deal with them?
We can only help those who want to be helped. Everybody's not going to come along for the journey. Most will perish. So, you know, you can only help those. Even in the Bible, it says God helps who helps themselves. So I can't be expected to be.
That is not in the Bible. That's a misquote. It's not in the Bible.
But the issue is, Grace, is that's not what we charge our politicians with. Our politicians are charged with the duty to work, to think about everybody.
I mean, you're right. Yes. You're right, Trey. But we need to continue to be fruitful and multiply And throwing in deletions and doing that, like giving away candy at Halloween, it's bad. It's really
I
bad.
got you. I agree, Grace. People are abusing.
Now you see,
I
I got to go back and think of rebuttals now with this question. I got to do research now. I got to be ready.
I'm just trying to make you I'm just trying to make you think. That's all.
I appreciate that.
I think sometimes we get very caught up in here's an answer, close the book, it's over, it's done. But a lot of the times, especially here in America, things are nuanced. And we have to think about there's a lot of people that don't believe what you believe and make decisions based on what they believe. How do we deal with them?
And they're voting citizens as well.
And you're right.
Hold on, Arpine, before you go,
dope, Trey. That was dope.
Before you go, on Facebook, I got a Facebook Messenger here. She said, "Don't say her name." Okay. She said, I don't know why she would add that. That's just whatever.
Fine.
But she said, "How is it okay?" She said, "When my body, my choice should go both ways. She said, if I decide to not want my pregnancy and delete the child, that's my body, my choice." She said, "But why am I going to jail if I don't want the child and I have the child at home and I delete the child myself?" She said, "What's the difference than me deleting him and the doctor deleting him? Either way it goes, I don't want the child."
Public health. That's why.
Assault.
It's a public health issue. You
can't just
deleting
be
a
out there
child at
killing
home, you don't have the
kids and shit.
facilities nor the capabilities to be able to do that. You don't even have the right disposable bag. You know, there's a specific bag that they use for the remains that come out of the woman. So you are not equipped to do this in your home properly without it potentially getting somebody else sick and hurting somebody.
And you don't have a
That's why
Pepsi
you have to go-
company.
Right.
Well, I would also say we shouldn't go down that rabbit hole, man. I don't think we should go down that rabbit hole at all. Because there's nowhere to end with that. That's a hypothetical we shouldn't even entertain, other than no, it's wrong. But I do agree with Trey, and I agree with I believe I have a sister who's 50 years old. And our conversations are legendary. I swear. I mean, she's something else. So every time she calls me, I said, "Listen, man, I just got my blood pressure under control. Why you giving me a call and shit?" So, but anyway, I do agree that there's only 4 reasons why I think women should be allowed to have deletions. And you said 3 of them. The other one is in the life of the mother. There are some conditions where I think the baby has to be terminated then. Other than that, that's why I was happy that Roe v. Wade got overturned, because I think it should be a states' rights issue. And if you live in their states, and the thing about you, Grant, what you said is nice and eloquent, right? I don't agree with all of it, but I believe the fact that, there's a eugenics program going on, and the best willing participants for eugenics that's going on is Black women.
Black folks.
Right? So if we look at percentages and the 20 million deletions that happened in the last 50 years, a lot of those kids would be in poverty if we were still on the same track we are now. But there's a good percentage of those kids will be our new doctors, lawyers, presidents, and all that stuff too. Yes, they would. We got an idiocracy situation going on, because the women who have means are the ones deleting the most kids. The women who don't, we have neighborhoods full of feral cats running around and shit, man. So we got the people who are educated are going down, and the people who are not are going up. And we can go ahead and do the data and see that. But you'll have like a woman with 6 kids and 25 baby daddies, right? Because she's making a couple of guys pay triple on this shit, right? You're the father and you want child support, it's just 1 kid. But all I'm just saying is, so we got to be careful in what we say. I think the whole program needs to be revamped. And I'm not saying eliminate it, because there's some reasons why women should have the right to do it. But the fact that women have the right to do it, even if we're married, should trouble us all. Right? I'm a father. This woman's carrying my son. My bloodline might end, but she decides to go scrape the kid out. And I don't have no recourse. That's wrong. That's absolutely wrong, because based on her emotional decision, because it's her body, her choice. I mean, I think that's crazy. I really do. So why are we married? Why are we having any nuptials at all if she can just do that? So for no other reason, because she's just stopped liking me. Or she might like me, but she don't want to have another kid. But she won't tell me about it.
And
Or
she
my,
don't have to.
I'm out end it here. Or my 14-year-old daughter can go and have a procedure done, but the school tells me I got to sign a receipt form for her to go on a school trip, but I can't find out that she's in there getting scraped. I mean, come on, stop. And so I'll end it there.
You know what? I want to bring up a point that I think a lot of people keep glossing over, and it's a question that Sir Hale asked a minute ago. He said, "Is poverty a reason, with the system being overwhelmed with children with no homes? Can poverty influence a woman's decision to bring life into the world?" Sir Hale, I'm gonna answer this. I hope I can answer it the best way I know how. I think it's one of those situations where it's selective outrage, and I think people get mad about the thing that benefits them. If it's really about poverty, then how come we ain't picking up all the homeless people up off the street and giving them somewhere to stay? You know what I'm saying? Think about it. You got a whole city of Los Angeles. They got like whole homeless blocks in parts of the city where people are outside. If it was homelessness, you know, we can't really say that, you know, if those people were aborted, they wouldn't be homeless. Even Jesus himself said the poor will always be with us. You know what I'm saying? But my thing is this, we can't use poverty as an excuse. You know what I'm saying? There've always been group homes. There's always been people, you know, to take care of these kids in places like that. But at the end of the day, you know, are we really forging marriages the right way so we can actually have these kids in a home? You know what I mean? To give them a fair shot and a fair chance. And just by deleting them, you know what I mean? It's wild to me, because everybody's saying my body, my choice. I'm thinking my mama every day, she decided to have me. You know what I'm saying? And the people who say, you know, hey, my body, my choice. Well, you know, what if one day your mom decided not to have you one day and you ain't here? You don't get a chance to say that. But I think that when people say stuff like that, I kind of look at them with a side eye, because you got here and you had the right to do what you had to do, and nobody deleted you, but you're gonna turn around and say, hey, you know what? I don't think this kid has the willingness or the right to be here just because you felt like you decided you wanted to do what you wanted to do. And I think the selective outrage of that is the height of hypocrisy, if you ask me.
And also the things that come with it are lost. If a woman's with a man and she's married, she goes out with her homegirls on a girls trip and gets have sex with a guy, right? Mr. Bennett, I think you've heard me tell this before. I know a young lady who's in Louisiana who got engaged to be married, went out to New Orleans, Louisiana for her bachelorette get together, got severely drunk, and had a one-night stand with a guy. She came back home after learning she was pregnant. She broke it down to her fiance. I'm pregnant. It ain't yours. I had a one-night stand in New Orleans. The man said, you know what? I forgive you. He married her. The babies, it was twins, and he's raising those children right now. Now, let me back up a little bit. If she decided I cheated on him and these are supposed to be his kids, I can just go to the doctor and resolve I don't have to do no consequences. I don't have to deal with nothing. I can just go take 2 babies and get rid of them. And I think that there should be some rules set up for that. I don't think there should be oops abortions. Oops, I cheated on my husband. Oops, I had a one-night stand. Oops, right? I think that people should be responsible. I think you should be responsible for yourself. If I'm driving my car, I told Mr. Payne this yesterday. If I'm driving my car, I'm gonna switch it. If a lady's driving her car and she runs the red light and T-bones somebody, she is solely responsible insurance-wise for what happened in that car. That's her car. The same thing if you go get pregnant and you oops. That's your responsibility. And you got pregnant, you're responsible for your body, just like you're going to be responsible for that car. It's the same thing. So I think that given all these privileges, I think, like you said, if you're going to do it, because I don't agree with it, but if you're going to do it, you should do it in case of the baby's going to be born severely damaged. The baby's, you have to, I don't agree with it, but okay, we'll say that. But if they're not, I don't think you should be able to just take those. But I think you should be able to. You should have those babies and give those set them up for adoption or something. But I don't think those little babies swimming around no stomach should be just chopped up like goddamn butchers or something. I don't agree with it at all. I saw videos of the procedure. It is inhumane. And for people if you've never watched an abortion, just go sit down and watch it. It is inhumane what they do to those babies. I mean, through the brain, twisting of the brain, pulling the fucking brain. It's just go watch it.
No, don't go watch it.
Yeah,
what
man.
What are you talking about, black man? No.
Bro, I saw, man, if you see what they do to them babies, and you see when they hit that baby and that baby shake like this up in there, you like, God, it's like a horror movie. It's like a horror movie. And people come out, yeah, my body, my choice. Okay, your body, your choice. But look, just go watch it. I think every woman that's deciding to have an abortion should have to watch that whole procedure before she do it.
And stay awake, because all this getting put to sleep, you go to sleep.
Yeah, hold your head up, man. Hold your head up. Look.
Yeah, black man.
Stay awake.
Well, that's a lie. That's a liability issue, black man. If you make her watch the video and she changes her mind and she dies during childbirth, whose fault is it?
Or hold on, because now they passed laws here in the great state of Texas. They passed a law where the woman, if she chooses to do that, she does have to listen to the baby's heartbeat. She has to go through an ultrasound. You can't just go and get it no more.
Don't move the goalposts. We talking about the video. You said that women shouldn't have to go watch a video that shows them the brutality of a deletion.
Yeah.
And if a woman watches that video and she changes her mind and says, I don't want to do this based on what I saw. We're talking about women here. We're also talking about a pregnant woman.
Okay.
She changes her mind. She goes and has a child and she passes away during childbirth. Who's liable?
I don't know. Let me tell you why I don't know, because I'm safe to say I don't know. But I would have to ask the lady beside you because she's in that field. So, but I don't know. Anissa, what kind of roadblock would you run into if she passed away in that operating room? I mean, in that giving childbirth. You muted, sweetheart.
I don't know 100%, but I'm thinking that there probably wouldn't be any liability there. But I think that the conversations that we're having and these viewpoints is exactly why we struggle with this area. I'm in the medical field, and there are sometimes I'm pro-choice, and then there's sometimes I'm honest to say that I have conflicting feelings about it. One reason is I think you have to be very careful about taking away the rights of somebody. I think once you start taking away, they want to take away the rights of a woman to decide. Then somewhere down the road, what happens when someone wants to take away your right to do something? So that's why I think this is such a slippery slope. I am definitely against a bunch of men being able to determine and tell women what they can and cannot do with their bodies. I am definitely against that. So I can see where this can create. I see why this is a problem, and I see why people feel so strongly about this thing, one way or another. I have never given birth to children, but from what I understand, all the things that a woman goes through and all the things that her body goes through and all the things that you go through in that delivery, most men you will never understand. Most women go to the valley of death, and some women even die in giving birth. So I'm just strongly against men, especially being able to tell a woman what she can and cannot do with her body. I also am against it being used as birth control. I am definitely against that. I think we have to be responsible. It is not for that. Yeah, so I can flip flop about on this issue.
I got two things.
Hold on, guys. There's a lot of contradictions because right now we have parents in America who kids don't know what kind of cereal they want to eat in the morning, but they can say, "Mama, I don't want this penis anymore." And the mama would say, "Okay, let's go get you some dresses." And you give that child the right to go and shop for a dress. I saw a little kid for Halloween. He wanted to be the damn Frozen girl. What's the damn girl name? And the mama went got him the dress, and he walking down the damn street with a damn dress on.
Elsa?
Anyway, yeah. I'll send you the video.
I have a daughter for all of y'all that are worried.
Yeah. And so he's walking down the street like that, so he can choose his genitalia. Oh, I don't want it, mom. I want it cut off. But when a woman has a baby, you will consider your son wearing a dress, but you won't consider the life who may want to live. You say my body, my choice. Cool. Why can't that be across the board? That child could, if he could talk, he'd probably say, well, my body, my choice. Don't delete me.
But that's
I want to live.
But that would be a false equivalence, correct? You're saying the person that made the decision to keep the child, I mean, they're a separate entity and the other one isn't. You can't say that they're cross-pollinating ideas. Like I say, if you're sort of thinking through these problems, correct? So you can craft an archetype, but then you're bleeding all the archetypes into one, which becomes problematic. And then you're saying that there's a conflict of there's this conflict of their decision making. Well, but let's use a slightly different way of thinking about these problems, which I think these are all good questions. I think everyone's sort of goal is to have healthy young Black kids, correct? I think that's our goal.
Right. Children, period.
Children, yeah. But let's just say we can convince every woman to have a child. Let's say that we could craft a way that makes sense and you're not restricting, and it rises off their brain that it's a good idea to have these kids.
Okay.
But then we can look at African American outcomes, and let's just say we take all the worst outcomes, and we have most of them, correct? And now you're exponentially growing all the worst outcomes. And so kids who are dying of starving, kids are dying of diabetes, kids who are not getting educated, kids who are being neglected in states that claim to care about kids are not having good outcomes. And so are we relegating those kids who are then born to a life that is unfulfilled, and we're exponentially growing that number? But
Grant, come on, man. But you're also exponentially growing the outcomes that will be good too. You can't just take one without the other.
But it would be different, because when you look at countries, correct? So you can just look at countries that are coming out of abject poverty. What you notice about those countries that they don't say have more kids, correct? What they're trying to do is sort of retard the idea of having too many kids. And you have to do that because you have to be able to take care of kids. So the more kids you have, most countries that have too many kids have elongated periods of poverty. And there's a host of other issues. And countries that are able to stabilize their birth rates that are reasonable and able to be sustained economically, those countries are thriving. And so you can look at a country like China that was able to, although they went way too far, one of the things they had to do is sort of fix the population problems, although they did it poorly, in order to be able to emerge as an economic power, just so they can feed their people. So at a certain point,
can I ask you that before you keep going? Because they changed their social contract. We would have to change the social contract. So there's a possibility to change the social contract based on the elements of having more kids. So just because we're Black, they might not do it for us, but China changed their social contract to fit what they wanted to do. So you can't have, just because more poor kids will be born, which you're right, I don't disagree with that. But so with more Mozarts, so with more people eligible. I mean, because it's always a mixture. Now we could talk percentages, and I don't know all the numbers, but you can't just say that because we have more kids, all of them are going to go to hell.
Yes, you can. You can say that because I'll use this example every time. West Virginia exists. It's highly conservative. It's all white. It has all the features of being a Christo fascist nation state, correct? It has all the wonderful features you want, correct? If you believe the nonsense, correct, that you hear. So in essence, this is a great sort of way of looking at the world. Are there examples in the world that can say you can have this perfect world of having the most Christian state ever? You can have the whitest state ever. You can have all of the rejection of modernity that you want, correct? Being stuck on coal as if that's going to make their lives better. You can reject the idea that science matters in the sense that evolution is a real thing. You can reject all those things and you still end up with West Virginia. And the problem is there are enough examples.
What's wrong with West Virginia? I'm confused.
It's
bad. It's bad.
And so under no circumstance,
Mississippi, bro.
Yes. So Mississippi is another great example. But my point
Mississippi
being,
is horrible.
Poverty.
When we say horrible, what are we talking about?
About poverty.
What we're talking about is the outcomes of its citizens. Are they have more people who are thriving in their state versus not thriving? Can they read at a certain level?
Third world states, basically.
Yes.
Third world states.
I'm from DC. These motherfuckers can barely do their alphabets. What are you talking about?
And I,
the shit is not relegated. Yeah, the shit is not relegated to a state anymore.
Right. And they get federal funding every year. They get
I'm not saying
millions
DC
of dollars.
doesn't. I'm not saying DC isn't that either. So don't take that.
So
I'm
is
saying
New York. The kids in Atlanta don't know whether they want to be straight or gay. What are we talking about here?
What I'm talking about, generally speaking, we're talking about in the aggregate. So we know that there are poor people. The United States has poor people, yet we know that we have the highest GDP and we're the most powerful country. We're not pretending that these people don't exist. We're saying that do you have an overwhelming number of people who are not sort of succeeding versus who are succeeding? So we're not saying that they don't exist. We're just saying that you'd have bad outcomes as an aggregate.
Majority of children that are born in the United States are born poor.
Yes.
That's just a fact.
That is
what it is. It just is what it is.
And that was my point to Arpain. Having more kids born into poverty isn't going to somehow make them less poverty.
And not having more kids doesn't mean that we're going to get out of poverty.
Yes,
right. Wait, hold on. So what it does come to is this. Again, it's the social contract. We don't have social contracts here. This is where we have a problem at. This is where, because I was about to ask the question, I almost lost my thought, but I'm back on it. Anissa said something that I have to add to it. She said, men have no idea of what women have to go through in pregnancy, right? It seems to me is that women don't understand what women have to go through in pregnancy either, because they wouldn't be out here just having kids just crazy outlandishly like this, like what we're talking about. This has been going on for at least 50 damn years, 5 decades right now that we're dealing with. But the question I have to ask is this, because I think it's a problem too with the men. How many men are actually adamant on women not getting abortions?
Not many.
Because from what I hear, men, most men are cool with it when they don't want that woman. It's a lot of men that's like that. I think that's a part of our problem that we have also. This is the reason why we have the issues that we have. We have a bunch of men not saying anything, or they are actually saying, yeah, we need to go ahead and get that abortion. What you gonna do is the question that they ask when the women tell them that they're pregnant. What you gonna do? What you gonna do about it? Because what they're hoping for is that she say, I'm gonna go ahead and have that abortion. The same thing that we were talking about when it comes down to my body, my choice, my wallet, my choice, right? We can't have that ideal if we're not being people that are having sex with one another with discernment. You have states, normally they're the states with poverty, where you have 3 men impregnating 18 women. 18 damn women. 79 damn kids amongst the 3 of them. So what are we talking about? So I understand exactly what Grant is saying, but it does come to the point of, as men, we got to say that we are the problem too. We are part of this goddamn problem too when it comes down to it. Because I know way more men that are for abortions that are not for abortions. Facts.
But that's why when Anissa said that men shouldn't have a choice, I mean, most women voted against Roe v. Wade. It wasn't just men. I mean, I think there was more women.
That's because more women vote than men.
Right.
Anissa, can I ask you a
But it was
question?
a lie. It was a lie. The woman already had children. The women already had them. She had children at the
woman never. She never had an abortion.
Right.
And Anissa, can
Never
I
had
ask
It's
a
a
one.
question?
lie.
Man, but Arpain, you said most women voted. What do you mean voted?
Well,
Voted?
maybe women voted against. I mean, women had
No,
a
they didn't.
point,
No,
but
the Supreme Court struck down Roe v.
no. What I'm
Wade.
saying for that, what the women were protesting against Roe v. Wade, just like anybody else. There's always more women out there than men.
But ultimately, it was the Supreme Court, and
I
that's
know that,
irrelevant.
but
The
I'm
Supreme
talking
Court struck it
about
down.
there's a lot of
every
women who are
state
making
where the measure was
decisions.
raised for the citizens to vote, they voted to uphold it.
Yeah, but who
So
votes
what
in
do you
the
mean by
states,
most
Mr.
women
Bennett?
voted?
Women
Yeah.
vote. Women vote more than men. That's been proven time and time again.
Yeah. I mean,
So even, so
like,
even on
That's why I said.
even on
That's why I
even,
said.
No, he said
That's
they
why I
voted
said that
against
men
Roe
are
v.
part of
Wade.
the problem.
yeah, even on a state level, it's going to be women that make the vote. But at least I got a question for you. All right, so Jack, I have two questions for you.
no, I hear you, Mr. Bennett.
I
hear you about the Supreme Court.
I agree with you. I don't think that men should have a say in this at all, to be quite honest with you, personally, at all.
Right.
However, does that include transgender women? Do they get to vote on it? That's my first question. I have another one for you.
No.
You in that BMU thing, y'all.
Trans women are real women too.
This is 2020. This is 2024 because
They
you
want
have
to
to
be
ask the question.
included. Let's go ahead and include
So
them, huh?
does that vote? Does that ability to be able to vote? Does that include transgender women? And then I have another question for you.
I answered no.
No. Okay.
Why not?
Quick.
Because transgender women are not women.
It's their body, their
I like
choice.
that.
They chose to
Talk
be a
my
woman.
talk. Talk that
They
talk.
chose to be a woman, Anissa. It's their body, their choice.
They don't have any of the plumbing.
Exactly. You could choose to fly across the world. That don't mean you an airplane.
Anissa, they going to get your titties.
They got elbow pipes. They ain't got.
Anissa, they got your titties. They got your ass. They
don't
removing
have
their
this
Adam's
plumbing
apple.
They don't have that womb and they don't have them tubes,
They don't
baby.
have this
They
plumbing
working
that
on
I
that
have.
womb.
There
They
is
about to have the
nothing.
womb
Well, hold
2053.
on.
Yeah. The
There's
artificial
trans-
womb is
The
on the way.
answer is
There's
no.
trans women. There's trans women out here right now. There's trans women out here right now that's saying, I am the living birth control. I cannot get pregnant.
Fallopian tube coming soon.
Well, they can't. I mean, that's absolutely true. They can't. They have none of the inner workings of a natural born woman.
Okay. All right. Here's my second question. Here's my second question. If women are the only ones who get to vote on this right, would it be fair that we would take the rights of child support away from women and make that purely on the man? That it gets to be voluntary, and it's purely on the man. Because since if we have no birth rights, we have no rights to whether or not a child is in, which is kind of the way it is now anyway. But we have no right to say whether or not a child comes in and out of this world. Can we then have voluntary child support?
I'm okay with it.
I will be okay with that.
And men's groups have advocated for that. Several of them.
Yeah, I don't like it's like, and this is like you said earlier, you don't like men having a say so over a woman's reproductive situation. Well, guess what? Men don't want a whole bunch of women telling them what they should do on their end of the reproductive situation as well, too.
Leave my 1099 alone.
And at the end of the day, that's why men and women have to be responsible.
Yeah, but who pays though?
Both. I mean, both of them. If I just hypothetically,
it's our choice.
I'm sorry. If I were in that situation and I was considering having an abortion, I don't feel like you as a man should be able to come like, oh, you're going to have this baby, whether you want it or not, this is what you're going to do. Well, are you going to help me raise this baby? Are you going to help me provide for this baby? Are you going to help me insure this baby? Are you going to do all these things? If you're not willing to do those things, then you have absolutely no say about what I do.
Well, it's my body, my choice, right? Is that only a woman thing or not a man thing?
Are you assuming
but your hypothetical doesn't complete the hypothetical, right? Because if a man comes to you and says you have to have the baby, he understands he's going to have to pay. It's the point of when he says he don't want the baby, and you say I'm having it anyway, and you're going to pay. That's the issue.
And I agree with Trey on that. I totally agree with him on that.
Yeah, I heard you say that.
But does anyone find it odd that in a state like Texas, which is mostly ran by what we consider white men, conservative, who often are against child support and would share your view, have not put forward any sort of legislation, and they could get it passed in Texas, that would remove child support as a mechanism, at least a draconian child support mechanism in Texas. I would offer this as a position point. I often think these rules, they know that they're trying to harm African American men. The more draconian the child support, don't give Black women, if a woman gets child support, extract that from her. If she's receiving benefits, extract that from her. If a Black man is engaged, extract it from her. Correct? It is an extraction process by which it's meant to harm African Americans. Often when you talk about child support or welfare, the face of it is often African Americans. And yet here we are arguing whether or not it should work. But you have to imagine, if we think these things should work, and we think that that these are necessarily conservative or whatever ideas, why aren't they being passed? They're not being passed because often we've been used as a pawn by the powerful, for the people who are saying that that welfare in and of itself is something that's just is Black, or correct?
Grant, you're taking us on a long journey. The reason why it hasn't been passed is because white men are also the judges, and their pockets are getting lined with the child support money.
But again,
Texas has a cap, so I mean, nobody's dying to get caught up in child support.
Yeah, that's my point. If it's so bad, it should be removed.
I will tell y'all
you
this.
won't be able to do it. They won't do it unless they cut their own neck. You know what I'm saying? So that's basically what it is. It's a lot of money in that, man. We talking about billions of dollars in child support.
No, I'm not shooting myself in the foot.
Hold on, guys, real quick. In the state of Texas, they use the child support money. 33% of what you send in for child support, they use it for the retirement plan for government officials.
Right. And who gonna give that up?
Here's my thing. I don't think
there's a tremendous amount of white men who are paying into child support too for that. It's not just African Americans.
I was just about to say that, Arpain, because here's the thing: they can't take billions of dollars if we broke. You know what I'm saying? It's some white guys that's in that number too. But I will tell you this though: change is coming. Texas may be doing what they're doing, but Tennessee said, "Oh, before you sign that birth certificate, we're gonna need a DNA test."
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Great idea.
Here comes the money.
Oh yes. Before you sign that,
pointed in the right direction. That's all it
listen,
did.
Before you sign that birth certificate, before you collect $200 and go past go, you're gonna have to prove that baby belongs to you. And I think a lot of times the accountability part is starting to come up. Guess what? In the state of Florida, now if you get divorced, guess what? You ain't gonna be able to extract alimony no more.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
You know what I'm saying? Because here's my thing. If you extracted money from your husband before you get married over a period of time, how come he can't have sex with you after you divorce? You ain't finna be, you ain't finna be having sex with him after y'all done got a divorce. So why should he have to pay, you know what I'm saying, alimony forever? I'm here to tell y'all accountability is here. And these folks. So as they say in the hood, 20 in the front and 40 in the back.
40 in the back.
It's gonna be some hard decisions gonna have to be made in these streets. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is this: women are going to start to be held accountable, because if you have paternity fraud, you're going to jail. If you have all these other things where you just running off having kids just to get money from the state, you're going to jail. And people are tired of taking care of your responsibility. So like I said earlier, your body, your choice. Well, guess what? It's your body, your responsibility. So I hope you get your 20 in the front and your 40 in the back ready.
So are we? So we're advocating for any woman to be arrested in prison so we can take care of their kid.
Yes.
We already taking care of kids.
Yes.
We already taking care of kids.
We already, exactly.
Your ass going.
If she is going to lie,
your ass going to jail
about it, and she's going to
maybe she'll think twice.
She's going to jail. Yes.
She gotta have some type of repercussions, man. What is we talking about? You going to jail, lady?
Man, you're on your own.
You going to jail. You going to jail. Send them kids to the daddy. Send them kids
You
to
have-
the daddy and let
You
him
going to
deal
the
with them.
clink. You going
You
to
have
the
33% of men paying for
If you
kids
gonna
that don't even belong to them.
Belongs to them. That part.
And if you
He
gonna
going to
sue
learn
that
how to
man
make
for
bean and winnies
anything,
now. You're out
no, if
making
you gonna
kids. You got to learn how to make bean and winnies now and box
And I
macaroni and
heard you
cheese,
can make some
baby.
really good
Don't get them
quesadillas with
back.
an
but if you're
iron
gonna
and
if you're
an
gonna
ironing
sue
board.
if you're gonna sue that man for anything, you sue his ass for paternity. Here's your kids. This is take on your responsibility. I gotta go to jail because I was out here trying to extract that shit from you. She
Brad,
got
I
to
know
go
a
to
woman right
jail.
now.
Paternity fraud. She got to go to jail. Get them kids to the damn daddy, and then we'll deal with it from there. And then she can go to
Brad, I
scared
know,
straight or something. I
You
don't
don't know
know.
who the dad is.
know,
Brad.
You don't ask
You don't know who the dad
And you
is.
better find
Hey,
out.
we
That's
know
her
who he-
problem.
Hey, we
That's
know
her
who-
problem.
I
Hey,
know,
we
a
know
She can
woman-
go
I
to
know a woman
Maury.
right now. I know
Hey,
a
we
woman
may-
right now that should be in
That's
prison.
her problem.
I'm telling you, I know a woman right now that should be in prison because for 13 years she lied to me and told me that a child that was mine was not mine. She should be in prison. And not only that, she knew who the father was. She lied about it. So these types of women, they got to go. And to be quite honest, even if that was my child, he's actually better off with me than he is with her. Even to this day, he's better off with me than he is with her. And she's a liar.
She can go to jail.
And these women who do this intentionally now, they deserve to go to prison.
If they go
Now,
into
we'll
prison
tell
for
you this.
Medicare fraud, they can go to
All of
prison
that.
for paternity fraud.
These hoes ain't loyal. You gotta.
Now we'll tell you, we may not know who the daddy is, but we damn sure gonna figure out who he ain't. You know what I'm saying? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage. Take heed to the message. Yes. Welcome, take heed. I know you've been
Black man Unfiltered said we calling out all the hoes this year. Yes, we are. We calling out all the hoes in 2024, damn it. We tired of y'all. We tired of y'all. We calling out all the hoes in 2024 this year.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the one and only. Take heed to the message. Take heed. How are you, darling? Welcome to the show. I want to hear what you got to say about this. Come on, bring us on in here.
So as I was having internet trouble, shout out to the internet in Jersey. As I was having internet trouble, I was listening to y'all. And shout out to Jersey because we don't do that foolery over here. We do paternity tests over here before you can do child support. So shout out to Jersey. Like, nah, we got to know who the daddy is first before we make them pay. Y'all other states, y'all behind. Y'all know this new to y'all, but Jersey been in it. Jersey been in the game. So I'm gonna share something with y'all, and some of y'all gonna get offended on the panel, but women who have never had children before, men who have never had children before, they should not have a say-so in deletions. They shouldn't. Deletions, and I'm an advocate for it because I have done deletions. I have done deletions. It is not fun. Even in the midst of me saying I don't have enough. I don't have the means to take care of this baby. It is not fun. It is painful. And you will have some Christians that will sit up here and they will say that well, you know, we don't want the children to be suffering. We don't want the mother to be suffering. But I like to go back to when there's a 2-3 minute window of opportunity to put on a condom. There's a 2-3 minute opportunity to get some birth control before you go and lay down on that bed and spread your legs. So I have a problem with that because now these said women who are getting these deletions, it's not just one that they're doing, they're going back. The deletion is the all safe haven for these women. So when people get up here and they like to say, oh, women should make the choice, you had that opportunity to make that choice 3 minutes before you landed on the bed. You had this opportunity. Deleting children is not a cakewalk. You have blood stains on your hands. It is not a cakewalk. And anybody who sit up here and tell you it's the woman's body and her choice, you had 3 minutes before you made it to the bed to make it your body, your choice. Now, I'm not sitting up here saying that, oh, we shouldn't help mothers that have these children out of wedlock. I'm not sitting up here saying we shouldn't help. But when you fucking up and you doing foolery, okay? You out here giving that twat to everybody. You busting it open for everybody, okay? And you doing nonsense. Why am I paying welfare? Why am I paying welfare? My tax dollars is paying welfare. You laying up there, you got 7, 8 children. You don't know who the baby daddy is. Is that my fault you don't know who the baby daddy is? And so the state suffers because these kids grow up without the daddies. And it's not like they going to pick Stephen and Tommy to be the baby daddy. They got Pookie, Tyshawn, and Daquan to be the baby daddy. I'm just saying that we got that right there. What we talking about is a thin line. You got some sisters that they know the assignment, they doing what they supposed to do, and you got some that fuck up. And we have to call a spade a spade. Some don't do the right thing. And it's not right. So what they do is go get those deletions, and they think this is the end all. And I don't agree with anybody who say, oh, a woman has a right. She has the right 2 to 3 minutes. She has the right 2 to 3 minutes before she land on that bed. But because we like to fuck raw, I said it. I don't care if y'all offended what I said. We like to fuck raw. This is the problem. You want to fuck raw? Go get married. Go get married. You can swing from the chandelier, drop it, fly from the helicopter, all that nonsense you can do. But we don't encourage that. We encourage baby mama culture. And am I sitting up here talking about I'm holier than thou? Nope. I'm from the hyena boneyard. Shout out to Crimson Cure. I'm from the hyena boneyard. I was doing nonsense too. But I'm here to tell younger women that's not the way. Change your mindset. I had daddy issues too. Stuff done happened to me, but that does not mean that I'm supposed to lie in my ish. You're supposed to stand up and continue to fight through life. This is the problem in our culture. Some bad stuff happened to you, you lay down. Instead of you getting up and saying, no, I'm going to make the best of the stuff that I'm going through. No, we want to blame everybody else. We don't want to take accountability. We go sit up here and blame mama, daddy, grandma, auntie, all of them for not doing right by us. And so we don't take care of our children. I'm done.
Ladies and gentlemen, take heed to the message.
Can I ask a follow-up just for some clarification, if you don't mind, take heed? You talked about the baby mama culture that's being created, which doesn't seem to be yielding positive results for us. But is that then, so is it better to have that culture, or if a woman cannot in a situation have a child or support, to have the deletion? I got a little confused when you were talking about those two. It's like if you do if you don't do the one, then you're going to have the other, and neither one seems to be a great situation. So I just want to be clear on where you're landing with that.
So what I'm trying to say is that you need a different mindset. That's what I'm trying to say. Because with all my ranting and cursing, there's something in there. Most people, they get it, some don't. But there's something in there. What I'm trying to say is that there's an opportunity that you don't have to be a baby mom. There's an opportunity that you don't have to be a statistic. Why do we always just go to, well, I mean, I just, it was good to me at the time, but we forget about all the consequences because it was good to me at the time. So I just think that there has to be a different way, because us giving the power of deletion is not working, especially in our community. In the melanated community, deletions has not helped us. We have not grown since the 70s. Small percentage of us in our community, our bloodline has grown since the 70s. Right. Everybody else is maxing out except us. There's a problem there. Why are we using deletions as the first thing when the first thing should be when you about to get out that shower and you tippy toe to the bed? That should be the first thing that let me grab this condom. But no, we got girls on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram talking about, I'll take it to the chop shop. That's the first thing they think of, the chop shop, not the condom that's in the drawer. I'm just saying.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
The chop shop is wild.
That's what they call it, man.
Yeah.
Bro, but what they're doing is, remember the songs, y'all, that they done came out with also celebrating abortions. That Hennessy and a Plan B or whatever the hell that they were talking about. And you got a lot of women touting that. You have a lot of these young women that's out here touting that. So if we're going to talk about something, we have to actually talk about morals that comes down with this shit. So we ain't talking about morals, man. All these laws and all this shit is just going to be worse. It's going to make it bad. So that's why when Grant was saying what he was saying, I understood exactly where he was coming from, because at the end of the day, a lot of people don't have any boundaries. They don't have any morals, and they're just having children. They don't think of children first. They don't think of children first. They don't think of, when I see this woman, I don't think of this woman having my kids. When they have sex with this man, they don't think about this man having their children, and they want that child. They don't think about the child. They think about what's good at the moment. It sucks.
Yeah, Grant wasn't off. He just got to dump some fuel when he talking. Take you the long. He take you the long way around. He wasn't off. He wasn't off. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, I think everybody on the panel, we all agree. We want more babies. Everybody wants more babies. We're about 25 million behind, right? I think it's the actual number somewhere in there. So we want more babies. But the question is we want more quality families too. I don't think we want one without the other. We want quality families. We want 2-parent households. We want these children to grow up in at least better environments that I grew up in, right? And I'm sure some of you on the panel feel the same way. So I think that's really the issue, is that, well, how do we reach these younger men and women and explain to them the importance of getting together, cultivating a family, and raising a child within that family? I think somewhere along the line, that whole process has gotten lost. I grew up in the 90s. I went to high school, late 90s, early 2000s. I can tell you that was not what was being pushed. That was not what was being pushed. And while I was in high school, it wasn't about, go find a girl and get married and have kids. That's not what it was. There were girls even at that age that were, they were pregnant one day, and then you wouldn't see them for 3 weeks, and they come back and they weren't pregnant anymore.
So, you know what I mean? So Trey, listen, we have a class divide now in the Black community, but from the top of the class to the bottom of the class, nobody's talking about marriage.
Okay, so how do we change?
Wait, let me just finish what I'm gonna say. So the people
you got dumb fuel too.
The people who can have, well, you said a lot. The people who have the means to have kids and family don't want to get married. Your Ebony K's and all that shit. And then the people on the bottom don't want to get married either. Now, where are all the deletions coming from? It's not. Well, we can't have in the community of all the poor people having a lot of kids, right? So they might be having deletions, but they're also having a lot of children, right? So they're doing a combination. It's the women who have means who are having a lot of deletions, and they're having very few kids. So we have this unbalance coming up. Listen, I'm a landed here. I have an anecdotal situation where I have a cousin, right? She just had a baby, right? She just had a baby, and she didn't tell nobody who the father is. So I had to go through her mother, her grandmother, and everybody else. Well, what's the father's name? It turns out the baby's 3 months old. No, 2 weeks old, and they're already broken up. She just wanted to have a baby. That's what her mother told me. And she's living with her grandmother. And that's a whole nother story about the fact that she was able to do that selfishly is because her grandmother, who lives in the house with her grandmother, she has a built-in safety net. A lot of women take advantage of their parents and their grandparents that way. And that's been an anecdotal situation in my family for years. And that safety net is
So are you saying
my cousin is my grandmother is
issue?
my cousin. She's a boomer, and we're all gonna die off soon. That safety net is gonna be gone. For the Z's, they ain't never taking care of no kids like that.
So
You know
are we saying that we need to get rid of the safety net? Is that the issue?
Yeah, the safety net is why that's
right.
why some of these kids are doing that.
Right. Women are
The
always
safety
going
net
to
is why
protect
some of these
other
kids
women.
are doing that.
Listen, let me tell y'all something. When my daughter's mom decided she was going to take me to court for child support, I learned a lot about my mother and my sister. I learned a lot about them.
Okay. Good.
Because this woman was not a part of our family, but you would have thought she was a part of our family. And she taking me to court. And I'm your son and I'm your brother. I'm really the only male here to protect you. That sisterhood came together quickly. You want to know why? I'm gonna tell you some real shit, JT. You want to know why? Because my mother could identify with her more than she could identify with me. Because my mother took my father to court and took my sister's father to court. So she understood immediately what was going on. So this idea of this safety net, it ain't going away because this is how women operate. I think what we have to do is we have to find a way to get to the younger women and explain to them the value and the benefit of quality families. I think that somewhere along the line, that part is being missed, and that we're not teaching younger kids, especially the women, that this is what's best for you in the long run. This is an investment, right? Delayed gratification. You may not see it now, but when you're 55, it will pay its dividends. I say this all the time, and I'll land really quickly. I talk about my mother and my grandmother. Every Thanksgiving and Christmas, they say the same thing. I'm so happy and thankful for my family. Every year, say the same thing. Happy and thankful for my family. My mother never talks about graduating from Howard. My grandmother never talks about being one of the first Black women to work for the Department of Interior. They never talk about their educational and accomplishments. They never ever talk about that. They talk about family. My grandmother's 84, my mother's 63. That's what they talk about. I think we have to get to a point to get these younger women to understand you need to delay the gratification. You think that these jobs and this independence will make you happy. It won't in the long run. And here is the proof.
I'm a PhD.
You know what? I'm
sorry.
No. Trey, I wanna piggyback off what you said, man. We're using poverty as an excuse. But please forgive me if I get my talking points mixed up, because it is become knowledge that women don't date broke men. So where's all this poverty coming from? You know what I'm saying? Women only date men with resources.
No,
Am I not correct?
That might be a recent
that's what
thing,
they say in street interviews. That's all.
But hang on.
That's what I heard, man.
But now, are we getting dating confused with just having sex?
They kind of go together. You know what I'm saying?
No, they don't.
That might be a more modern trend with the whole money thing. But let me ask a question, because there's been some narratives that have been told tonight, and a lot of people are sort of arguing in these vacuums.
Right.
The first question I wanted to ask was, when did Planned Parenthood come out?
Margaret Thatcher made it up.
1920s or something like that, because this narrative's been painted that this is because of feminism, this is a new problem. Planned Parenthood came out in the 20s, and they were doing this stuff to Black girls in Harlem So this whole thing
That's
this whole thing just
1960.
flipped. So poverty is a major factor as far as why these things were even allowed to happen in the first place, because they were going to vulnerable Black girls in urban centers of extreme poverty, and they were convinced that this is better for them. So this isn't a new problem, or it's certainly not a wave since the 70s or 80s or since all these things that we talk about. Poverty is a major issue when it comes to whether or not someone decides to have a kid or not. So we going back over 100 years with this thing. This is not new. And again, and the second thing is when people talk about, oh, well, we lost 50 million people. First of all, the numbers are all over the place. There's not even 50 million of us, period, in this country. But so we lost 50 million, we lost 20 million. Everyone's just throwing these numbers out because of Roe. But the thing is this: if you didn't have it at all, then people wouldn't be having children. So we didn't lose 50 million people, or however you want to say it is. If that wasn't an option, then you'd have less, maybe lost a couple million, but not the 50 of the numbers. So people look at the number of abortions and tries to say that means that we would have that same number of people would be living today. No, if you couldn't get one, you would either have the baby, which is again not like, or you just wouldn't have sex. So again, we can't just conflate that. Okay, well, because we have so many deletions that we would have this many more people in the Black community. That's not true either. And what I'm also seeing with this discussion, a lot of these people who are advocating for the removal of Roe and so-called protection of life. This is why my conspiracy hat comes on, because a lot of these same people are also advocating for removal of all birth control. So again, if you don't want these pregnancies to happen, but you want to take away access to birth control in almost every form, maybe with the exception of the condom. So then how is that going to, help to get the desired result that you want? Unless you're going to say everybody just be virgins until marriage or whatever. But as Brother R. Payne says all the time, that's not going to happen either.
Yeah, but
so everyone tries to argue things, but I don't think we're carrying these arguments all the way through.
I'm confused because if we got all this access to birth control, then how we sit up here arguing about 25 million deletions? So just because it's there doesn't mean people using it. So
right. So why are they in such a hurry to take it away? There's a lot of legislators going on. They're trying to remove access to birth control as well. So if it's not making a difference, then why are you putting all that legislation behind it to try to remove it?
Well, the Black people ain't advocating to take away birth control.
That's my point, which goes to my conspiracy theory. This whole thing has nothing to do with Black people. It's about the preservation of white people, because they're going away.
Represent something, Mr. Bennett, because
I've got a lot of family here, some of whom are here in the audience tonight. I also had my first abortion at the Seattle Planned Parenthood. Yay! Notice I said first. If I could Yelp review it, I totally would.
So, but Mr. Bennett, you have to realize that there wasn't abortion on demand the way it was after Roe v. Wade. That changed the numbers. So there was abortion always since Margaret Sanger started it, but it wasn't.
You're just gonna keep on talking after we just watched that video.
I mean, it's the same thing, right? So, and listen, you gonna talk. What are you talking about? All right.
I'm
just saying, he made a statement.
The video for a reason.
Well, we can get to the video. It ain't going nowhere. It ain't going nowhere. I mean, just because a white lady said that she had a couple of abortions, are we going to stop? She's just one of many. But go ahead.
If that's all you heard in the video, you need to play it again. If all you heard was one white lady.
I've got a lot of family here, some of whom are here in the audience tonight. I also had my first abortion at the Seattle Planned Parenthood. Yay! Notice I said first. If I could Yelp review it, I totally would.
You know what? To follow up with what Mr. Bennett said, Mr. Bennett, when I was in school at UAB, I wrote a paper in my social psychology class, and I wrote a paper on the reduction of the white population by 2050, and that was back in '96. And
that number's coming down. It's actually going to be 2043.
Exactly. Based upon what we're seeing, we're right on track. Just like I said, the white folks will not be the majority. So what happens is the politics in this country is going to change. So I think you're actually absolutely right on this particular situation. So I'm gonna let you know I agree with you because I've actually done the research on this, and you're absolutely correct.
So if the white people are able to get this legislation pushed through, that doesn't have a positive effect on the black community?
How so?
Given the conditions of the black community now, how would they improve?
You just answered the question with a question. You didn't answer it.
No, it won't. No, it'll remain status quo. That's my answer.
Okay. I disagree.
It won't be status quo.
There's always been a saying that when everybody else catches a cold, the black community catches a flu. So if that is the case, if they're going to put this legislation in or they want to get rid of deletions altogether, then I don't understand how that doesn't help our community too. If black people can't go in and black women can't go in and get deletions, and white people can't get deletions, that's not a positive in our community. We don't have more people. We don't have more.
Not according to Grant.
Because I'm confused. What do we exactly want here, black people? What do you want? Do you want more babies?
Exactly
do you
what
want
you
more
want.
families? Or do you want people to just be able to make
mom,
decisions
dad, and
on
children.
their own? What
That's
do you
what I want.
I want family units.
Mom, dad, and children.
You don't want just more babies. You want more families and children born with a mother and a father, a husband and a wife. That's the goal, not more babies.
Okay, so wouldn't a byproduct of no longer having abortions, wouldn't that be that some people, some of these, there would be families that you wouldn't be able to use it as birth control? Because isn't that what we were talking about, that women are using this as birth control? Wouldn't that completely take that out? They wouldn't be able to do that anymore?
I think you're talking about a minority in that group.
No.
Most of these
So
women are not married and not trying to be families.
Are actually using it as birth control. Even though half of all the women that have had birth control, have had deletions, have had more than one.
They've had more than one, but that's not going to translate into them to wanting to have one. I agree. I mean, using it as a form of birth control is whack. I mean, but that's not going to translate into us having more children.
So
what
exactly does it translate into then?
It's not going to translate into us having more families. It's not.
Okay, fine, got that. What does it translate into then? Just more children?
Just the status quo.
No, it's not status quo. If
our numbers are going to grow or maintain where they are, they're not going to increase nor decrease unless people make the decision to marry and build stable families. That is what's going to change things. But whether or not you decide to have it or not, that's not going to move the bar.
If you
may be more careful with your sexual practices. You may use the birth control that's available to you so you don't get pregnant. You might be more careful in terms of having sex not to get pregnant, but it's not going to necessarily mean more children. That's what I was saying earlier.
So being more responsible
on this side,
is not a
if you take that away, it
community?
doesn't mean 50 million is going to be on this side.
I'm confused.
I got a question for Trey. So Trey, I think I see where you're going, but I just want to make sure I'm right. So are you saying take the deletions off the table?
Yeah.
Make people think about it instead of just worrying about trying to get their next nut, figure out this is somebody you could be with and build and have a family and then get to all of that. Is that what you're saying?
You broke up a little bit, but I'm thinking you're asking me, am I saying to take deletions off the table altogether? What is that? What is that benefiting our community? Is that what you're asking me?
Okay. So yeah. If you this is my train of thought. If you take the deletions off the table and you make people, especially women, think about your dealing with them. Y'all, I'm breaking up.
You're breaking up a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
You start with taking deletions off the table.
Here's the thing. I don't see. Obviously, I agree. It doesn't guarantee families. I agree. That's two adults that need to make that happen. I agree with that. Right? Fine. But the idea that if a woman knows I don't have this option anymore, how does that not force her into a more responsible position?
It should.
Okay.
It should.
It should, but that's still not going to mean more children.
But we're not talking
If
about the
that's
more
what the,
children part,
I'm
right?
not
We're not
talking about more
talking about the
children. I'm
being
talking
a
about
mom.
whether or not that has a positive influence on the community. I don't understand how it doesn't. If people know you, if she knows she cannot, there's deletion is not an option. She can't do it at all, unless there's certain circumstances which we discussed earlier. How does that not force her into a more responsible position?
Trey, let me help you out. I did some research on this, and our situation is not different from anybody else's situation. The only reason why it's relevant to us is because it's us. I was reading an article the other day. It's a Asian country where they're actually having a problem with men and women getting married. So what the government is doing is they're paying people to get married and stay married. So I think if you get paid so much money when you get married, then after that first year they give you some more money, and then after that you have a child. After your second child, then you're good to go. They're giving people houses, all type of stuff. So I think what you spend your money on is what dictates what's happening. It's the same reason why in the 60s and 70s, when they were telling women, hey, the man can't be in the house and we'll give you a little something, something, something. So my thing is this: if they're doing the exact opposite in other countries, what would that look like here? Do you think people would actually go to marriage counseling just so they can stay married and have healthy families if they were getting paid a check from the government instead of getting paid a check from the government to destroy their homes?
For certain families, yes. It almost reminds me of the military, right? You make more money if you're married, right? So you see a lot of people that will get married for business reasons, right? So
Right.
I can see that. Here's my issue with the payment, the incentivizing. What I believe you should be doing is you incentivize couples that are together longer, right? So if you're going to incentivize anything, you're going to get paid more because you've been together 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. You can make that in the sense of taxes, however the case might be, because more than likely, the older the couple is, the less in taxes they're going to pay anyway, because they're not making as much money, right? You want to incentivize it. I would incentivize the Americans, especially within the Black community, to stay married. It's not about getting married, because in 2 or 3 years, you sign a contract or whatever, you can get divorced, right? I want to incentivize you to stay married, to build a healthy family for the long run, which I believe would have a cyclic effect on your children and the children that come behind you.
Not a bad idea. Because even now on your taxes, right? I mean, everyone knows like their standard deduction. All they do is double it if you're married. What if you tripled it?
Correct.
Right? I mean, it's 12,000 individual, 24,000 couple. I mean, how's that
Man,
incentive?
business would be booming. Think about it.
Or at least make it 30. So 12,000 individual. If you're married filing jointly, make it 30. That's a deal. I mean, why not do things like that to help incentivize the institution? I'm all for using the power of the of the government and the tax code to help incentivize that, because we always say it's one of the biggest breakers why people get divorced, amongst other things. Finances is a major issue. So if you can help married people with their finances, make it and we can then sell that argument. Yeah, like being married is financially good for you. But the way the tax code treats people, it's like there's no advantage that the government gives you for married filing jointly versus single.
Well, technically, we could sell it now. I mean, married couples make more money than like technically you could sell it now if you wanted to, right? But the issue is, the way I look at it is this: our pain. We should know when we hear our pain say, "I've been married for 36 years." We should know that financially, he getting one hell of an incentive. We should just automatically know it because he's got 36 years in with his wife. That's documented. We should know that the government is rewarding that. But I'm for whatever reason, I agree with you, Lost. They reward the opposite.
Nope.
They reward the opposite. And I think, me personally, the powers that be, that I think they do this because there's more money in keeping people single. It's more lucrative for them to keep people single. Women got to work, men got to work, women got to pay taxes, men got to pay taxes. If we put them together, there's a lot of things that they can work together and they can do, right? But if they can depend on each other, maybe the wife doesn't have to work at all, which means that she doesn't have to pay taxes, right? There's a lot of things that can happen when two people get married, right? They work together, put their money together, they can retire earlier, right? There's a lot of positives in this. But if we keep you single, I can keep you working until 63, 65, 70. I can keep you paying taxes until 70. So I think the government understands keeping people single is the best thing for the government, which is why they don't push keep people getting married.
Well, can I
Absolutely.
get in real quick and say
Come
this?
on, take heed. Come on.
I just want to throw a wrench in there real quick. Trey, what you saying, sir? I know a lot of people is they don't agree, but I'm rocking with you tonight. I don't know what's going on. I'm rocking with you tonight, sir. So I'm gonna share something with you. It's better to keep our community separated. You want to know why? Because the prisons stay full. Because if there's no king in the home to govern over the children, most of our children end up with zaddy. So that's the thing. So if there's no king in the home and mama is doing everything and she's running back and forth to work and there's nobody governing the children, who's governing the children? The streets are governing the children. So they wind up where? In Zaddy's prison. So Zaddy gonna continue to make money. So he cannot say to the black woman, it's better for you to be married. It's better for you to have a 2-parent home. See, he's gonna tell a black woman it's better for you to be single because you're gonna get about $8,000 with your taxes every year. Because we're gonna give you $3,000 for each child. It's better for you to be alone. It's better for you to get these food stamps and these Medicaid while you're working. Okay? It's better for you to be alone because you're gonna get more. But she's not understanding that these children are gonna grow up and wind up with Zaddy in the prison. Most of our children who grew up in a single parent home, they have issues. People never want to talk about these issues. Even some of the ones who grow up in a 2-parent home, they got issues too. But it's not as bad as the ones who grow up in a single parent home. So when we call a spade, we got to come correct. Most of our children end up in the prison system. Most of them do. It's a small percentage that don't end up there out of single parent homes. And I grew up in the projects. I have seen it. I have witnessed it. A lot of the people I grew up with, they not even here. They not here. Some of them in prison. Some of them are 6 feet under. So when we want to sit up here and we just want to talk about we can get our government needs to have an incentive. They do. The incentive is to stay single and raise these monsters to become grown so they can go out and terrorize. Now anybody can get offended at what I'm saying. I don't care.
You raise a valid point.
But they will grow up and turn into monsters. And it's true. Without the father being there, most children are messed up. Most of them are messed up when they're not governed by their fathers. I'm just saying, I'm speaking facts. We want to sit up here and we want to just go into the numbers and that's all we know. But if you go into the hood right now, most of these kids, if you ask them, do they know where their daddy is? Have they ever heard anything about their father before? They gonna tell you, no, I don't know him. I never met him. I don't give a F about him. My mama told me, and that's it. They only know the mama story. I'm just saying, we want to sit up here and we want to just say that other countries do it. Other countries do it because they done got hip to the game. They understand that it's better to have a 2-parent home than us. We understand to having a single home because it's better. We make more money with it. Now, at the time, the government is releasing $8,000 to $10,000 in income tax to these single parent homes. They releasing this money. But in the long run, the woman will pay in the end because most of the time these children end up in prison. I'm just saying, I have seen it in my own life. So anybody can get offended or shake their head or think not. It is what it is.
Can I say something?
Go ahead, Embrace.
I just, let's go through the back door now. What if we make divorce harder? You know, what if we, because it's so easy to get divorced right now. What if we make it harder for people to get divorced? What if we have circumstances for, no, repercussions for adultery? What if we just, you know, I know it's a lot of what ifs, but there's nothing making us wanna get married or wanna stay married. I love the incentives, but what about, like Trey said, anybody can get married, but the trick is staying married and doing like for 36 years. I mean, what do you guys think about that? Making divorce harder. You know,
Hey,
you go through.
You should have a fine.
just
There
the
should be a
fact,
fine, and that fine should be commensurate with how much money you make. So if you're a millionaire and you want to get a divorce, no alimony, don't worry about alimony. You want to get divorced, sure, but it's going to cost you. I suggest you
just
And
guys
who gets that money?
go sit down at a therapist and go work it out, because it's
Can I
going to
drop a
cost you
quick
a few
factoid?
$100,000.
Come on, Mr. Bennett.
No fault divorce was first legalized in California by then Governor Ronald Reagan, who eventually would become the first U.S. president to have been divorced.
How ironic.
Oh,
right?
Ronnie.
There you go. Oh, Ronnie.
You know what? I just thought about something that Tay Key said a minute ago. She said that it's better for couples to be married. You know what I mean? And they make more money. Well, is it the fact that they make more money, or do they keep more of what they make? You see what I'm saying? Because whether you're single or not, that same money is gonna be made. But if you only got one house note, if you only got one electric bill, you know what I'm saying? Surely you don't need all this other extra stuff if you got two mortgages. I think rent nowadays is like $2,400. Imagine if you can take that $2,400 and put that back into your kids. You know what I'm saying? Adverse poverty would literally basically disappear. You see what I'm saying? And I think a lot of people are making more money off us being divided. I saw a stat where they were saying that more black women were buying more homes than single black men. And I'm thinking to myself, how is that a good thing? You see what I'm saying? Because if something happens to her, then what's going to happen with the house? You see what I'm saying? She's going to fall on hard times, that type of thing, because stuff happens. So I think the purpose of marriage is to guard against the ebbs and flows of life. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes you got it, sometimes I got it. You know what I mean? That's the main reason why you get married. You know what I mean? To have somebody that had the tough times to go through. You see what I'm saying? But I don't think people look past the edge of their nose. They don't think that they're gonna be young forever. You're gonna get old someday. You're gonna need somebody to take you to the hospital or hold your hand when you're sick. You know what I'm saying? Or take care of you and clean you up. People don't think they're gonna get old, but I'm here to tell you, I've seen people get old. I've been long enough to see people go from my age to 60, 70, 80, 90 years old. And I assure you, everybody is going to need some help. But I think it's a certain level of wisdom that we have to instill into people. And I think the major problem is that we don't see enough people working together, having the conversations that need to be had, addressing the old wives' tales and the lies that everybody been saying, and say, hey, look, this is what I've been told. Oh, that ain't right. Let me explain to you what's really going on. You see what I'm saying? Because a lot of times we get bad information from the wrong places, and it's proving to be not fruitful. You see what I'm saying? I like that we saw that video a while back with those little girls in school were like in high school and they were pregnant, and they were saying, I don't need no man, I don't need telling me what to do. I hear that same thing today. And that was what, 30, 40 years ago. You see what I'm saying? And nothing has changed. But my whole thing is this: how has that benefited the group? And it has not. You see what I'm saying? So my thing is, I think we need to get back to getting to the point where we can actually learn how to use skills to talk to each other, to be able to listen to each other, to address each other's concerns, to eliminate the fear when we have these conversations and know that we're going to be heard. Does that make sense? Grant, you wanted to say something? Oh, go ahead, take it.
Can I step in real quick?
Sure.
I want to just I want to just follow up with how you said what you said, sir. I'm laughing because I've been out of work since October, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. I've been skipping to work. Like if I want to go to work, I go. And
Right.
I've been in pain because I got hurt at work. So I have that luxury. I'm going to say it. Shout out to my king. I have that luxury that, okay, I'm hurt and all my time is gone, but I don't have to rush to work. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have to go. If my leg hurts and my king like, no, just stay home. But if I was a single mother, like I was back in the day, and I did everything on my own, baby, I had to work. That leg was messed up. I had to work. Nobody is paying the light, the water, the gas, that rent. Nobody's paying that. You got to go to work. This is the thing that we miss in our community. You got to go to work. And I share something with you. One of the sisters told me at my job. She says to me, when I got hurt 2 years ago, I had to move in with my mama because I lost my place. And I looked at her, I said, wow. And I'm thinking in my mind, I ain't got to move in with nobody because I got a king that go out every day and do what he got to do. I ain't got to go beg nobody to go live with nobody. I ain't got to worry about the light and the gas and the water. In the midst of us trying to be superwoman, we miss the right mindset because we want to be superwoman. You're going to get hurt one day. Something is going to go left. The job will not be there for you. Remember, you just a number to this job. Just like you go in every day, say good morning to everybody, you a number to this job. My brothers, you are numbers to this job. If anything go left, baby, where you living? Sister, where you living? This is the thing that we don't understand. I'm just saying we need each other. That's the key. That's what I'm trying to get at. I know y'all like, well, what's she talking about? This is what I'm trying to say. We need each other to survive. Everybody like to want to be on their own. It doesn't work out like that when you get older and your knees can't hold you no more. That's just my take on it.
Well, let me ask you, one of the things is the programming, right? I mean, this didn't happen overnight, right? I mean, at some point we understood that we needed each other, right? Forget about going in the past. We didn't get here by accident. There's been factors that got us here and program both men and women, right? So how do we change that programming? I know Tarus talked about software, but let's just say, how do you change the programming for people who to want to be together? Because there are people who rather be apart, both men and women, but women are saying, I'd rather have a baby than a man. Right? We've all seen evidence of that in our own personal lives. So how do you change that? I mean, I'm just saying, how do you change it? What's the real answer? Right? I have like a stalker on the internet. The chick can't stand me. You know why she can't stand me? Because I've been married for 100 years. she paid money to kick me off a panel. She said, nobody wants to hear your 100-year marriage and shit. Get out of here. Right? So she paid money to get me off the panel. Right? And I don't even think I was talking about that. Right? So just my presence talking about, relationship was enough to trigger her. To pay to get me the hell off the panel. And she follows me around every so often and just hands it to me, So I don't know what I don't know how I guess we could chop that up. It's hard to talk about these things without both men and women taking a certain amount of accountability and responsibility, but they're not the same. It's not the same. If I say your accountability is one thing, that doesn't mean mine is the same. It might be in a different area, but it's not the same. And somehow we can't get past go because, when we start pointing the fingers, more pointing back at you, but we just can't seem to pass go. What's going to make a Gen Z person want to get married? Maybe that's a better question.
That's one heck of a question.
Grant,
you wanted to jump in?
Just the idea of making divorce harder. I mean, divorce is already harder than marriage, correct? Generally speaking. But what do we make? Is there a better way of making marriage more meaningful in the sense that people are a little bit eyes wide open when they're going in to it? So you're walking in saying, if we get divorced, these are the things you're going to get. So everyone's kind of setting the table for, You walk away, you get this amount of money. I mean, obviously it's a prenup, correct? But I do think the problem with it is we're trying to keep people together, and then at the end it becomes really, really messy. I don't think people understand what's going to happen post divorce, that the struggles of co-parenting, et cetera. We can't live in a world where we pretend that people don't get divorced. And I think that's the problem, correct? We're pretending that we're going to just make everyone sort of stay together. But I think what causes the frustration, often what I hear, is that men feel that they're taken advantage of post-divorce and they don't have access to their children. And I think that's something we definitely should address. So I think that's what causes the greatest level of anxiety for most men, from what I can tell.
You know what? Well, they don't just feel that way. Is they don't just feel that way. It's that way, period. But even with that, men still want to get married. Most on these YouTube streets, we hear them that they can't find nobody to marry, which is another whole conversation, right? But it sounds
like women. I've been looking, can't find nobody.
Well, you got to settle, Trey. Like the women, you got to settle.
Trey said, if I'm paying, I ain't settling.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I think women don't. I think men want to get married more than women. Let me put it to you that way, because women have been filled up. Their programming is a lot stronger than ours, I think, because there's no shortage of women that think being married is like being a slave. I mean, they say it all the time. I mean, they say it so much that I think they actually believe that shit, right? So it's easier to have a baby and drag a baby butt naked into Walmart than to have a man in your life. I mean, I don't know how you reprogram that.
I'm gonna tell you like this: a lie, built on fear is stronger than the truth built on honesty. You know what I'm saying? If you can scare the hell out of somebody with a lie, they're gonna listen to that all day long because of self-preservation. I said this on my live earlier. I did a live called The Weight of Love. And the main premise of that is having the investment of time into a relationship. I think we're too busy, man. If you look at it, we're working every day, life filled with kids in certain situations and circumstances. We're always going to these auxiliary organizations when we have downtime or whatever, where we're not really pouring into relationships like we used to. You know what I'm saying? I heard a long time ago, it says the proof of love is the investment of time. Where you put your time is what you love. And I don't think we're making love a priority. I don't think we're making relationships a priority because we're not putting our time in it. Just the same way, if you decide you want to get a degree and you want to go to school or whatever, you'll make the time for that. But for some strange reason, when it comes down to relationships, we don't want to put in the time and the effort because for some reason, we always think it's going to be better around the corner. It's going to be better just down the street. It's going to be better in the DMs. You know what I'm saying? We have this illusion of options when really you don't, because you're going to still have to put in time with that relationship, that new relationship you sneaking up on, your sneaky link, as what the kids call them these days, your sneaky link. You still got to put in time there. So why not put in the time with somebody who want to be there? You see what I'm saying? That's the whole situation. But I think in order for us to get that back, we're going to have to learn how to spend time getting to know people. So that way you don't have to worry about getting had and prenups and what ifs and all this other stuff. You got to start asking your question, why? Know your why. Why do you want to get married? You see what I'm saying? And be honest. You know what I'm saying? Because you have guys who want to get married because they want to have children, because they want to have legacy, because they want to teach their kids, you know what I'm saying, to do this and do that and to be productive citizens. And then sometimes you have women that just say, hey, look, I don't want to be in these streets, but I don't necessarily want to be a mother. Well, I think that's a conversation y'all need to have and say, hey, look, you know what? This may not be the job for you. I'm looking for a woman who wants to stay here and be a mother to the children as well, too, not just to be my wife. And I don't think people are having the guts enough to have those nuanced type of conversations. It's all about how much money you make. It don't matter if you're not going to be my wife and the mother of my children, somebody I can respect. You see what I'm saying? You got to be able to walk away. And it's the same way with men and women have to start asking questions. Hey, do you really, want to be my husband? Or are you just trying to come over and come see about me sometime. You know what I'm saying? Every night, tighten me up every now and then. Why buy the whole hog when all you want is a little sausage every now and then? You know what I'm saying? So those are the conversations that we need to have. You know what I mean? But I don't think people have the guts enough to have those nuanced type of conversations. Take heed. I know you're shaking your head over it. I know you want to say something.
I'm only shaking my head because you're right. It's nasty. You're right. It's nasty, sir. You speak in facts, because I was just saying a couple days ago that we got to stop asking, do you make six figures? We got to stop asking this. We got to ask, like back in the day, how we used to ask, where you see yourself in the next 5 years? If you can go and just talk to me in a conversation and say where I can see myself in the next 5 years, let them explain to you what they're going to do with their life, what they have in their mindset, what they want to do, so that you can be a part of the plan. Because that's the time where you'll find out if this plan is right for you. So now while you on a date, instead of we talking about, oh, how much money you bring home, what kind of car you drive, we should be talking about what's your 5-year plan. Because maybe in his 5-year plan, he don't want no kids. Maybe he don't want to be married. You know what I'm saying? So now since you know this and you want to be married, you want kids, you tell him at the end of the night, Suge, let me kiss you on your cheek. You have a good night. Your 5-year plan ain't for me. Okay? Your 5-year plan ain't for me. But we worried about how much money they bring home, what kind of car they drive. And this is where you get all this disconnect from. Instead of us asking, where do you see yourself? Even with the woman, where do you see yourself? Now, if she tell you, I don't want no kids, I don't want to be married, you kiss her on the cheek and say, Suge, that ain't for me. I want to be married. I want to have children. You have a good night. But we worried about who making what and where you work at and what kind of car you drive. This is the disconnect right here. We worried about nonsense stuff instead of letting somebody sit down and tell their story so you can see where you can fit in. Okay, so he's saying he got a 5-year plan and he want to do this and do that. Okay, so in the 2 years, he's saying, well, by 2 years, I want to be married. So now you see, you can fit in the plan because you want to be married. He tell you by the 3rd or 4th year, I want to have children. You in your mind, like, I want to have kids, so I can fit in here. But if he tell you he don't want none of that, baby, that's when you give him a kiss on the cheek. Sure, thank you for the coffee. Thank you for the dinner. You know, we ain't got nothing in common.
Hey, take heed. I want to piggyback on that real quick because our pen gives me crap about having this list of questions. I got this long list of questions of how I vet women. But you said something, and I agree with you 100%. One of my questions on that vetting list is, what's your 5-year plan? It's on there. And I asked that question because I'm listening to hear something specific. What I'm listening to hear is if she mentions being a mother and or a wife. So if I ask her, what is your 5-year plan? If I don't hear the words mother and or wife, she's disqualified. I move on. Because I'm not about to spend the next 5 years with you and you don't want to be my wife and or the mother of my children. So you're disqualified. So it's very interesting that you said something about a 5-year plan. I agree with you 100%. Both men and women are not asking the proper questions.
I agree with that too.
We see cleavage and booty and legs and thighs and toes and hips. And the women are seeing potential possibilities of a lifestyle that they could potentially have. We're not asking the right questions to each other to cultivate this quality family we've been talking about.
You're right, Trey. We're marrying lifestyles instead of people. And I think that's the issue. Go ahead, Mr. Bennett.
I'm saying, Trey, he mentioned toes. I was just curious.
Yeah.
What you said, Mr. Bennett? I didn't hear you.
You mentioned toes.
I don't like feet, but I know some people like feet.
All right, I'm still trying to figure that one out.
We're gonna get some of these ladies.
Never hear a guy turn out a woman.
Variations
toes,
on that same thing. I told my daughter the same thing. I said, listen, if you got a guy you like, I said, don't have to wait to bring him home to me. Bring him home to me right away. So I could tell you, I can eliminate this dude right away so you don't waste no time. I said, if you, as a guy, I said, if a guy, you don't want to be with, don't ask him to take you out. Stop wasting time. Like for my wife, when I sat down with her, when we were just feeling, I just said, listen, I don't want to have another girlfriend. I said, if we're going to be together, are we going to try to work towards something? I said, I don't need another girlfriend. That's not what I'm looking for. And she said the right thing. She said, well, I don't want another boyfriend. I just want to, so then we just took it from there. We went from that dinner to just automatically courting.
Absolutely right. You know what else I thought about too, Takey? You said something about the 5-year plan. As a man, I'm listening also for, her asking the question, how do I fit into your 5-year plan? Because to me, that's somebody who's intentional in actually being a helper and a helpmate. If she never mentions about helping, you might want to, clarify, hey, when I get married, I'm going to need some help. You know what I'm saying? And she should be a natural giver or a natural helper. You shouldn't want to twist nobody's arms. You know what I'm saying? And they're around here worrying about whether or not you're going to fold up some clothes. Ain't that right, Trey?
Girl, get in there, fold them clothes and slide. I don't want to fold no damn clothes.
I went to Diggling museums. Yes.
Absolutely. And this, I know you sit up there smiling. I want to hear what you got to say. Come on. I know you've been hiding. You know how you had that little kid in the back of the classroom that be hiding and don't want to hold their hand up. Well, guess what? I'm calling on you because you hide. And this, do you have a 5-year plan?
Oh, absolutely. And obviously at the top of that list is getting married and being a wife. But just listening to everyone's conversation, to me, this is not a government issue and all of that. To me, this is a heart issue and it's a mindset issue. And those are the things that need to be impacted in order to turn this thing around. People have to have the heart to want to be married and want to have families. You have to have the mindset, not to just want to be married, but to want to be a husband, to want to be a wife, and to want to have families, and to want to have children within families that you can care for and take care of, and coach and mentor and teach, to be productive citizens so that one day they leave your nest and they go on to do the same thing and on and on and on. So to me, it comes down to being a heart issue, and a mindset issue that has to be addressed in order to turn this situation around.
Absolutely. Almond eyes. Come on.
I mean, I agree with a lot of what Anissa said. The issue is we are at an extreme deficit of people who can, assist or mentor who, want to be married, who are what they say they are, who, done the work. And I think we're running out of time. The need is too great, the supply is too few, and we still don't really have a plan on how to fix this. But I mean, I definitely agree. It's a mindset. It's programming, and we need to figure out how to reset.
Absolutely. Embrace the grace. You have a 5-year plan?
Well, it's funny that you ask, guys. I have index cards of questions that I ask.
That's what's up.
Because it all starts at the beginning in having effective communication so you can, I don't want to say the word cherry pick, but you can see if this person is going to be for you or not, because especially a woman in my age, I don't have time to waste and play games. It's either we're going to do this or we're not. I mean, if this is just going to be a playtime, then let it be known. But I mean, I ask questions like, tell me who you are when you're alone. What are your biggest concerns in life? What if you could change something about how you were raised, what would it be? You know, like real meaningful questions, not this bullshit. What's your favorite color? Or, you know, what's your favorite designer? That doesn't matter. What matters are these types of questions, you know, and I love what Sir Harold Speech said. We got to go back to teaching family values. Do you guys remember when y'all were kids, out the older ones, when the cousins used to come over with sleeping bags and have a sleepover, and your best friends was your cousins, was family? You know, our parents used to go on date night, leave us at home with the grandparents, and all the cousins make pizzas, Sundays. These kids don't do that anymore. They don't know the value of unit. And it's going to be a shame that when it really goes down and you're going to need your family to survive, nobody's going to know what to do, how to do it, and when to do it, because everybody's too busy Googling shit when they don't really have basic life skills. So I'm to land it here. It's all about effective communication. If you're serious about dating, you gotta ask these questions early on. I've been accused of, well, what are we in an interview? I'll be like, yeah, well, actually, yes, we are. Because I don't want to waste my time and I don't want to waste your time. I know I have my tubes tied. So I would not go date a man that wants children or that doesn't have children. My best friend made me realize, she was like, what are you doing? You're going to spend 5 years with this guy and all of a sudden a baby's going to pop out because you knew he wanted a child. Can you really be upset with him? So it's like, we got to think. We got to make ourselves in the same lane versus, you know, like you said, trying to ask you, how much money do you make? Bitch, how much money do you make? You know, you worry about my pockets. What are your pockets looking like? You want me to make 6 figures, but you working at Walgreens. The sense is not sensing. I digress. My mic is muted.
So the money question though is important, not how much you make, but how much are you willing to provide for our family unit? That's
Absolutely. Are you a spender or are you a saver? How's your credit? You know, do you have an emergency $1,000 fund put away? You know, it doesn't matter how much you make, because you could be making 6 figures today and tomorrow you get laid off. Now you're in the unemployment line.
Yeah, there's been some panels talking about, let's try to transform the stupidity of 50-50 into like the one pot rule kind of situation. Whether it's one pot or not, a variation on that theme. Like if you're married and you're both working, there's no such thing as my money is my money and your money is your money.
Exactly.
You got to get away from that, you know? And I think that the men on the other side have to also kind of understand that if you have your wife out there toiling for 50 hours a week, that, you know, she can't just be the only person doing household duties. I mean, that goes without saying, right. You know, so, and that's a conversation though. I mean, this should never be a surprise. The money, how you're going to handle that, and who's going to take up chores in the house. I mean, there's so many ways to get over that little small, it's not even a hurdle. It's just a conversation. Hey, listen, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, we spend a couple of hours together cleaning up the house. The office is yours, you clean that. Your man cave is mine, I clean that. You know, that kind of stuff. You know, if you don't like to wash dishes, mister, you know what? You make sure you take out the garbage, that kind of stuff. You know, these things are real simple. And the fact that they kind of break marriages is really stupid. I mean, I say, what the hell's going on with you people? You know, because there's not even supposed to be an argument. Especially for men, I tell men this. Got your wife out there toiling. You have to compromise on someone on your end as well, you know. And most people, both people work. And if you're lucky enough, woman, to have a guy who pays all the bills and you don't have to do that, you know, you're gonna have to be a little bit more humble. It's just a natural thing. And humble doesn't mean like being a slave either. You know, so you just gotta be able to say, listen, you know what? I'll take care of you because you're taking care of me. You know, play Beyonce's Cater to Him. Oh, women hate that record, man. You know, when they came out, you know, we catered to you and shit. Man, that was a great record. That's my theme song.
But she married though, you know what I'm saying? Happily married with kids. You know.
Anyway, well, let me just land it there. I mean, I don't think marriage is that. Let me go. We don't have a bounty, do we? Let me just say this. I don't think marriage is that hard. You know, everybody else I can't stand when I hear people say how horrible marriage is. It's such a crazy thing, blah, blah, blah. There's bad marriages, yes, because you probably shouldn't have been married in the first place. But man, you know, I don't even want to say it.
You might well gonna say it now.
It's just been bliss. I don't know what, you know, I've had a good time. My wife loves me. What can I say? And I love her back.
That's what's up, man. You rarely hear that in these YouTube streets, man. You better say it loud and say it proud.
I've been
Man. I love my
tainted by
wife.
these YouTube streets, man. Shit, man. I
No,
got
that's all right. You need to be doing the tainting.
not this one, but I should have never went to Fight Club, man. I had to take showers after that damn thing. Shit.
You know, but you mentioned something earlier, man, about household chores, man. I honestly believe that when couples do chores together, it builds a bond. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, no doubt.
Inside of the house and outside of the house. You know, we were coming up, you know, we would cut the grass or whatever, and my mom would be out there sweeping the grass off the driveway. Nothing strenuous, you know what I'm saying? But the mere fact that she was out there assisting says it all. You know what I'm saying? And I think that when women take that same energy where they want to have the men to work in the house and do the dishes or whatever, I think they should take that same energy and go outside and assist their man. You know what I'm saying? You're a helper. So we're going to help each other. You see what I'm saying? And not only it helps you get the work done faster so you can get back to the love. Ain't that right, Tiki? Get back to the love. Mr. Bennett, I know you want to weigh in, sir.
Was it on the goal setting piece or just the
man,
top
goal
overall?
Or yeah, on the goal setting piece. Because I know you had a list.
Well, see, the thing is, I operate a little bit differently. I had a list basically explaining who I was and what I wanted. And the only thing I was really looking for was for a woman to say yes to about 80% of the stuff that was on the list. I don't recall asking my wife if she had a 5-year plan, or I didn't ask what her credit score was, or how much debt that she might have had, or any of these things. I think in today's world, I think people are going way overboard with the Q&A stuff. Because all that stuff aside, if you're not on board, then you'll find something to find wrong with the plan, or we'll have it and be out. So really, it's about, one, do you want to be married or not? If you do not, then I will go to the next one. And this is who I am. Could you live with someone like me? And if you could, then let's further this relationship and see if this can lead somewhere. And if you can't, thank you very much. I'll move on to the next one. A lot of this stuff over our going to be March 29th, our 27th year of marriage, we had to figure a lot of this stuff out. We didn't have defined roles when we went into it. We both worked. We knew obviously we wanted to have a home. We knew we wanted to have children, and you know, just have a life together. And a lot of stuff was just figured out along the way. Plans changed along the way. So again, for those who have plans will change. Health, whatever it is, will change your plans. So the real question is, again, are you built for the long haul? Are you built for the journey of marriage? And if you are, then I think that's all that really matters. But for everyone wanting a stat, everyone wants the photo, the static snapshot of a person, but no one's willing to go on the journey. Because if something goes wrong, if there's a blip in the road, then people are like, I'm out. So really, all that, the 20 questions, I'm not downplaying a lot of that, but at the end of the day, you have to be, again, when I take this on, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, until death do us part. And that's before you, and that's before God. And everything else, like I said, has worked itself out. We've had to do reset multiple times and say, hey, we're going in the wrong direction here. Hey, let's reset this. But we didn't quit. So that's always been my approach to it. And I think, people can take the goal setting, I think, a little bit too far, to where now people want to run your credit and all these other things, because, but I certainly, I know my parents didn't do that, and their ancestors didn't do that either. So we're making the process more complicated.
Mr. Bennett?
True. We made it more complicated, but is it yielding a result?
Probably not.
So again, I'm like, what gets the results is really the question on my end. And so I don't know if making the test more complicated is necessarily, are we churning out more, marriages or just people just finding reasons not to get married because, oh, your credit score is only 750. I need someone with 800. So
Can I ask a question, Mr. Bennett, to you real quick? So the ending goal when at the time when you were getting married, right, was to just get married. That's it.
pretty much. One, I'm very transparent on the show. The main reason why I wanted to get married was because I wanted sex. I was a Christian, I was abstinent, and I knew I did not have the gift of singleness. So I needed a wife. And so, but I understood that it's not just having a wife for sex. I need to be a husband. So then I had to ask, okay, what do I need to do in order to be a husband? And then I had to really define, that really took the time to really talk about who I was. Most of that document that I wrote, most of it was about me because I had to flesh out, who I was, understanding that a woman's going to have to go along on this ride with me. So again, my temperament, my tone, my beliefs, my values, my expectations, all of that was sort of was laid out. And my wife, when she came around, she was like, "Oh, okay, I can get with most of this." And then that's when we started our courtship.
So technically, what you did is the same thing what the young people are talking about. They just asking questions. It's the same. It's just that you asked questions after you got married because you was ready to just get the honey pot.
Yeah.
Just waited to after. So technically, the young people are still right to ask the question because it's better to ask the question before you jump into the honey pot and then you find out, well, damn, I don't have no legs. I can't swim. You know what I'm saying?
That's one way to look at it. But at the same time,
the credit score stuff down, I mean, it's a little wild. But the 5-year plan to ask a question to let us know what's going on, I kid you not, and I'm not saying I'm not saying that it's a good idea because I made it up. Hell no, I didn't. This is in the 80s when people used to ask you this question. What's your 5-year plan? Even bosses used to ask you, what's your 5-year plan? So, I mean, it's just we want to get it out on the table instead of us waiting 3 to 4 years. And now we find out we've been dating this long. Oh, you didn't want any children? Oh, you don't want to get married? You don't want to stay in Jersey. You want to live somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? You want to travel the world. So that's why I said we should ask these questions in the beginning.
I agree. No question about it. Like I said, my document was to form the basis of the courtship. So certainly questions were definitely asked about, again, what we saw. Did we see a future together? But again, the intent was, this is for marriage.
The intent was the honey pot.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then at the same time, but again, a lot of people though, they ask so many. There's nothing wrong with asking questions, and I've always talked about this. There's difference between asking questions and questioning. When you ask questions, you're looking for clarity. When you're questioning, you're basically looking for an excuse. And I see a lot of people who could be married who are basically looking for excuses why not to be. But then when you're operating in fear base, you're basically looking for an out. And the slightest blip, the slightest, you might have had a bad day, the slightest or whatever, it's like, oh, that's a red flag for me. I'm out the situation. So I think all I'm saying is I think people can go a little bit too far with their criteria and understand that at some point you're going to have to get into this boat. And we're either going to row our oars together or we're not. But if you're waiting for the perfect situation, someone's got to check off 10 out of 10. Like I said, I was happy if someone met 80%. We worked through the rest. I wanted my wife or my dad. I actually wanted a short wife, right? I wanted someone like 5'2", 5'3", so she could. I'm 6'3", so she could look up at me. My wife is 5'11", and when she's in heels, she's basically eye to eye with me. So again, I didn't flip.
That makes a better couple, man.
So I didn't flip, but that's the thing. It wasn't so rigid that even if she said, "Oh, he wants a short one," but I'm gonna show him that I'm a little bit more than he's asking for, but I'm still gonna be the right one. That mattered to me. You know what I'm saying? So I'll outperform that. So really that was what I was looking for. I wasn't looking for a 10 out of 10, but can you look at this and be like so turned off, say, "Oh, this guy is controlling, or this guy's this or that or whatever. So I was just looking to filter the ones, get the ones who weren't serious about courtship, get them off the field. Out of 100, if I got 5 left, that's perfect. And then we can start the courtship. So really, that's what
you guys. I think you guys in nonviolent agreement. I think
I'm just starting trouble with you because you just said that all in my mindset. I just wanted to get married, and I just wanted the honey.
That was
starting trouble with you,
right.
but only why I'm saying that is because that's what you said. So
absolutely.
You still gotta ask these questions at the end of the day, just like you did. You knew in your mind you wanted the honey pot, you wanted to get married. Now that's good. That's good. You knew that. So now you had to go into more detail to find out if this woman wanted to be a wife, if she wanted to have children, if she wanted to follow your leadership.
Absolutely.
So it's the same thing that the young people are asking. They just going a little bit outside the box. But remember, these are YouTube talking points. Mm-hmm. These are YouTube talking points. They only talking like that because it's YouTube. Come on now. This is the truth. These young people, you ain't up here asking that woman that. You too busy looking at how fine she look. Let's get it right now.
I like them legs, baby.
Yeah, you only get that clarity after the fact. So no, but we should still ask the basic questions. It shouldn't just be a money thing. I believe that wholeheartedly, because somebody can have all the money that you want and they just want to screw you for the night. That's just my take on it. I'm done. Mr. Bennett, I'm only joking with you, sir.
Love you.
Hey, listen, you know what? I had fun when we were going through those courtship questions. I think that was pretty, we had fun doing that kind of stuff. You know, the revelations just kept coming, you know, so. I mean, but you're right. But I think both of you guys, this conversation y'all had was pretty good because I call it violent agreement.
Well, I guess I got me a good one because mine tells me all the time, ask me 1,000 questions because it only brings clarity. Yeah. So he doesn't mind me asking questions. I'll ask him, say, hey, if this happens, how would you act? If we was to get married, how would the bills get paid? And these are things that I want to know. I mean, if I'm about to embark into the journey with somebody, I want to make sure he knows how to drive. I want to make sure the car's reliable. I want to make sure he's got car shield. You know, I want to make sure. I get what you're saying, Mr. Bennett, but I have to ask these questions because at my stage in my life, I need to feel that he's the right person, and certain questions matter. How people react to things, how people spend their money. I can't build with somebody that has 350 credit and then I have 850 credit. Now everything is going to be in my name. Then you're going to walk around with resentment. You know, it's important to ask these questions, especially if you're looking to build with somebody. Like my guy said, hey, I need to get some tools. My boss said I need to get some tools. While he was talking and saying this, I zelled it to him. You know what I'm saying? Because he shouldn't have to need for nothing, because those tools are going to be an investment. He's a plumber's apprentice right now. Those tools are going to be an investment later, and that's a write-off for me, for my business. So it's things like that. He's done the same thing to me. I'm like, oh, you're doing a grace move. I was complaining about something, and by the time I heard a beep on the phone, boom. See, that's the type of things you need to learn about a person, not negative or positive, before you jump the broom, not afterwards, because it's too late sometimes, Mr. Bennett. You know, I get it, and I appreciate the fact that you were honest. I wanted to get married to get that honey pie. Everything else, we take care of that later. But that's the honesty that men need to have in women, so things can go smoother. When people try to have a smoke screen and BS you and then wonder why you're looking, you know, stuck like Chuck, I love the fact that you were honest. And I love the fact that your wife, okay, you get the honey pot. You know, I'm tall, you know, I'm not short like you wanted, but you're going to get this honey pot. And it all worked out.
You know what, a question I've never heard.
You gotta, in addition to asking the questions, you got to verify the answers because people tell you anything.
True.
Nowadays, now people want reports.
And then 5 years down the road, the situation comes up, and their response is nothing like what they told you 5 years ago. Now you like
the switching bait.
You got to verify. Like, I need the invoice and I need to see.
Right. So I'm saying people ordering, they want the credit report.
What you owe, what you paid.
They want they want all of that. Yeah.
You know what, Mr.
All of that, Mr. Bennett. Criminal background. I want all of that.
Listen, you know what question I've never been asked, Mr. Bennett?
What's
you know
that?
what question I've never been asked?
What is that?
I've never had a woman to ask me, so you want to be married, right? And you're going to give up all your money, all of this other stuff to take care of me. Why? You get to keep, think about it. You're a single man. You don't have any children. You've never been married before. You know what I'm saying? You get to keep all of your money right now and be happy. Why is it that you want to give all that up to marry me? Nobody, not one person in my 51 years of living has asked me that question.
Well, you know,
You're 51?
I could posit a guess because
Come on.
it don't matter because if she marries you, she knows half of it is hers. That's why.
But my thing is this though. Nobody has ever asked that.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Think about it. Men generally give up a lot of stuff to be married.
No doubt.
But no woman has ever asked, why would you give that up for me?
But
And
is that
I gotta put that on my list.
Is that the magic, is that the magic question for you, Loss? Is that when if a woman does ask you that question, you seeing somebody and she brings that question up, is that the all right, this might be the one?
Man.
Is that
Yeah, you know why?
Why?
Because she wants to know where she fits in this. Why is it that she's the one? I've always tell people I want to be married, but I want to be married to a specific person. You ever been in a conversation with somebody and all they say, I just want to marry, I don't want to be married. When you listen to it, it's as if anybody could fill that space.
Yeah.
You see what I'm
you
saying?
know you're saying this over the public airways.
That's what I'm saying. You just you got to give away the cheat code, so you're gonna get all these ladies in your DMs.
Somebody need to give somebody the cheat code, man.
You can say anything.
Somebody, because think about it. The alternate to this is what other men are saying. You know, on these YouTube streets. What's in it for men?
Right.
I just did it a different way.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because once you think about it, basically, when you get married, you pretty much give up a lot of stuff. All the golfing,
No,
you know,
don't give
all
up
the
a lot. You
going
give
to
up
the football
everything.
game,
Cigar bars.
cigar bars. You know what I'm saying? Late night.
You give up what you negotiate, though.
All
But
your
you give
little
up. You give up
lady
everything.
friends
See,
on
but I
the
was
side. You know what I'm saying? You give up all of that.
Even
you
in
know?
my situation, I still knew that I would have to, as you said, I had to give us. So yes, even though I wanted the box, as we're calling it,
The honey
I
box.
understood that if I want the box, this goes with it. So I didn't go into this thing just totally just with blinders on. Again, that's why I had to get with some guys and say, okay, look, I want to get married. I need to be a husband. Now, what do I need to do? So again, I didn't go into this thing blindly, just figuring it out. I knew that there was something I had to give with it as well.
Clement said, he said, Lit, you looking for a unicorn.
You're looking for a unicorn.
Let me explain something to you,
I
Clement.
don't know, check those DMs tomorrow when this.
Listen, I sure as hell don't want no jackass. I'd rather wait on my unicorn than to go out here and just grab any old jackass.
Since we have the ladies here, I do have a question though.
Can I say
one of the things
something
that I like to tell ladies is that they shouldn't waste time on a guy because you don't have the time to waste. It depends. If you're 23 and you spend 5 years with a guy and it doesn't go anywhere, you're still 28. But that dynamics is completely different if you start at 28 and now you're 33. And a lot of women don't understand that it doesn't take men forever to decide whether they want to choose you or not. So, I mean,
within 6 months.
How do y'all juggle that? And how do y'all tell younger ladies saying, listen, this guy's wasting your time?
Well, here's the
Because
thing.
I don't know what the time frame is. Maybe
Let me ask you this. Sometimes we have to ask the ladies, are you wasting his time? Because there are far more women.
Mr. Bennett, before you go to that, before you go to that, because this is a different circumstance, because men have more time than women do in terms of the biological clock. So your time could be wasted, but you're taking biological time away from a woman if you're just stringing her along for 5 years and you don't marry her, even though you're supposed to be getting to that point. And then when you find what you really want, you jump off. I know. Let me give you a real world example, right? And this is, I hate to use it, stars and shit, but Drea Michelle, looking at her Kelsey go from her to Taylor Swift, even though that's all fancy, it still bothers her. Even though they were broken up for a year, they spent 5 years together. I think she was in her 20s when they started, and she's in her 30s now, and she thought she might have been it. And then he left her, and then he went to the stick figure a year later. But you could tell based on what she says, she's still bothered by it, because that was a lot of time invested. And for a woman, that's a lot of 5 years is a lot of biological time.
Can I be honest with you? You know why she was mad?
Why?
Because she didn't get her allowance of $3,700 a month. Real talk.
I'm trying not to be. That's why I didn't want to use the example.
No. But that's it.
I'm saying, but
we call that
for other things though, because men do.
No,
Both
that's
men do
not
waste
it.
women's time. But
That's
okay,
not
let's
it.
go with yours.
That's called the sunk cost fallacy. She gave up her quote unquote time, but I would say she was compensated for the amount of money that he paid her. She asked for $3,700 and he gave it to her. You know what I'm saying? But here's the problem between whatever this lady's name, Kelsey, whatever her name is, and Taylor Swift. Yeah. Here's the thing. This girl used her beauty as leverage. Taylor Swift didn't. Taylor Swift didn't have to ask this man for no money. She was just glad to be in this man's presence. Hanging around his family, brother in the press box with no shirt on, acting a fool, having a good old time down there in KC. You know what I'm saying? To me, that screams family. Anybody who can hang around your family and watch them act a fool, they don't care about all that. To me, that's the basis of family.
Yeah. But I don't want you to miss my point. I was just using that as an example. But the woman herself, she might have bought her own thing, but still, 5 years is 5 years.
Here's the thing, Arpane. A lot of our women are taught to use their beauty as leverage instead of actually doing something for their husband. If it's biblical, you're supposed to be a helper and a helpmate. That means you're supposed to do something. Even the Bible itself says beauty is fleeting. You know what I'm saying? And it's vain. So my thing is that's probably the main reason why a lot of women who are gorgeous, because black don't crack. We will string that thing out till we get 40, 50 years old, and we see a wrinkle and have a come apart and a hissy fit because we ain't as fine as we used to do. And we can't lean on what we've been leaning on to get what we want to get. Instead of learning how to be of service to your husband, you know what I'm saying? Learning to be a good wife, learning to speak life into your marriage. You know what I'm saying? Those are the things that men really want. If you ever really listen to these YouTube streets, they're always saying, hey, you guys have a bad attitude. If you speak to me nice, lovely, then it's a problem. Even Kelsey had a problem. You know what I'm saying? Because he let her go. But Taylor Swift still hanging around. Even if it wasn't Taylor Swift, it could have been a regular old white girl.
Saying. I just use that as an example. So you're saying
glad to be there.
You're saying she didn't do what it takes to get him to bond to her. That's what he did. That's what
basically she used her beauty as leverage instead of actually doing what he really needed her to do.
That probably was.
That whole Instagram, you know what I'm saying, back and forth with Cam Newton because she don't know how to be quiet. She has some other issues going on too.
And for some reason we think that being difficult is a badge of honor. We got to get out of that, man. We got to get back to our women being pleasant to be around. Then you have
smile.
To people to come get them. Yeah, they gave Kevin Samuels hell because he asked them to smile every now and then. I don't want to smile. That seems like that's a lady and all that other foolishness. How much does it cost you to smile, man? I mean, really, think about it.
Yeah,
we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. We're gonna give us some final thoughts. Almanize, we're gonna lead off with you on your final thoughts this evening. Go ahead and hit us up.
My final thoughts. I have obviously enjoyed my time with you guys. Thanks for having me. I think we are definitely in need of some therapy. We're in need of creative spaces where we can just come together and get some stuff off our chest. I mean, it's definitely needed. Some of the perspectives and mindsets definitely are detrimental to our community, if that's what you want to call it. So that's what I do on my channel is we're gonna hit the reset button. So my channel is a space where you can come, get whatever you need to get off your chest. Nobody's gonna hold it against you. If you need help, that's what we're here for. But these types of discussions are definitely needed, and hopefully we'll have more. And I'm always here to participate.
All right, thank you so much. Embrace the grace.
Well,
Go
this
ahead.
was a great conversation, great people, great chat, but it all starts with dialogue. The fact that we're even talking about it, the fact that we're trying to bring up solutions, that's where it starts. Effective communication. You got to ask questions. You got to, get clarity. You got to talk about things. And this is a stepping stone. And I am proud to be on this show. My channel is, yes, I advocate for the men, especially the Black men. Why? Because I have a Black son, and a lot of the things that he's growing up and seeing, I want to try to minimize for him. If I could change the mindset of one young lady or one young man, then I've graced this earth with my presence and did my job. And thank you for having me. Amenize, remember, we got to get together and do that collabo. Our pain, I'm gonna get with you, and I try to get with you, but I got you, okay? And thank you for embracing me. I love this is my Tuesday nights now. I didn't even sign up for overtime tonight because I knew you guys always go over. I said, let me not even do it to myself. You guys have a good night and take care.
Thank you, Embrace the Grace, for coming on tonight. We really do appreciate you. Thank you. Our pain. Lay it on us, sir. Final thoughts.
It's funny. Last night we had a podcast, post nut clarity, get the term, but not what it means to men, because we understood that, except one guy in the chat. He asked me what that was. I said, oh my God. But what it means for women, in terms of what do you need to do to make sure that day after is more important and he stays around. What do you need to do to get him to chemically bond to you? Because the act itself doesn't do that. So we had a nice conversation about that. And I told at the end of the stream, I played. We couldn't get it to play, but I gave a couple of verses from the Shirelles, "Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow?" And way back in 1960, women were worrying about that same thing. If you read those verses, is what if I give you my jewels or my honey pot, are you going to still love me tomorrow? And those lyrics were like, well, it's like I never heard those lyrics. I said, wow, they let them out in the 1960s. But anyway, we talked about that. So if y'all ever get a chance, go listen. It was right here on the BMU network. And so this was a good thing. We have the title, Who Controls the Box? Listen, I'm one of those men who go against all the men. Women are 100% in control, I think, of the sexual marketplace, and that includes their box. We might enjoy it, we might benefit from it, but we don't own it. We don't lead that. We might take advantage of a couple of women here and there, but a lot of guys think they're really suave, but the woman saw you coming a mile away anyway. So I just want to say, so based on the title of this thing, I'd like to give agency to women where it needs to be, instead of trying to take it away from them, because we're men and we're the leaders. And we lead in a lot of things, but in the sexual marketplace, I think we're just players, right? Because our drive is predictable, and if it's predictable, it could be manipulated. And women know how to do that pretty well. Anyhow, so I'll land it there. This was a good show. I'm glad we had so many ladies up.
Tell the people how they can find you, man.
So, hello.
Yeah, before you go, tell the people how they can find you, man.
Oh yeah, I'm on Marriage, Politics, and Sports. I have a lot of videos. The only thing I do live is my sports show, which is at 6:00 tomorrow. It's live. So I go through the sports show. I got a couple of guys come up, and, but everything else, I just put a lot of videos out that have to do with politics, has to do with marriage, and it has to do with sports, of course. And I have this series called Let the Women Tell It, because I believe women telling other women how to act right is better than men, because sometimes I think what we say to you guys, we might as well just shut up. But when women say it, I think it has a little bit more effect. So I got a series of videos doing that. So go check out my channel, subscribe to it, and give me a few subs. So I want to go from 1 to 3 subs. I want a few subs. Anyway, thanks. Good day. Good.
Are you out of your fucking mind? Are you crazy?
Jesus. Yeah, how come all of my things are so vulgar? See, yesterday I promised everybody I would drop an F-bomb. I think I did it. I think I was good.
You know what? Our pay, as always, it has truly been a pleasure, sir. Every time you get on here, we have us a good time and we learn something. I want to thank
I
you
appreciate coming
for all
out.
that you add to the conversation. I'm gonna give you your flowers while you're here, man. Appreciate you. And now, last but certainly not least, the one and only, take heed to the message. Take heed, go ahead and give us your final thought, darling.
So my final thoughts are, we are in control of the honeypot. We are. See, the thing is that all this stuff that we see on social media and how men act towards us on social media, we can change the narrative. Women, you can change the narrative, because there is one thing that a man will always want. It's what you got between your legs, baby. Sex. He is conditioned to want this. Do you understand? So you can change the narrative. You want a good man. You want things to change. You tired of messing. You tired of ending up with Pookie and Ray Ray. Learn how to do that. Clink, clink. You'll do better with that if you learn how to do that. Clink, clink, and be patient. But we so hell bent on swinging from the chandelier, you barely notice, man. And then when things go left, you want to know why. You are in control of the honeypot. You're in control of that, but JJ, baby. I know people want to sit up here and tell you nonsense. Well, he did this and he did that for me, but you still lay down there and spread your legs. You still in control of it. If you tell him, if you go up there and lay on that bed and spread your legs, and you don't say to him, put on a condom, he's not going to put on a condom. Because he want that thing raw, like every man do. I'm no shot at the brothers, but I don't blame you. I mean, because I go raw all the time, but I don't blame you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not mad at you, but I'm just saying, my sisters, if you don't make the conditions that he put on a condom, he's not gonna want to put on a condom. Shout out to Mr. Goodbread, because that's what he said today. If you don't make me, I'm not going to. You in control of the honeypot, and he's right. Y'all take heed to the message. Thank you for tuning in with us tonight on Black Man Unfiltered, Talk That Talk Tuesday. You can always see me here running my mouth on Tuesday. And occasionally on Friday, before the brothers start at the barbershop on Fridays, I'm supposed to come in and do my little 2-minute step. Sometimes I've been missing it, y'all. I'm sorry. I've been hooked up in that bedroom with my king sometimes. I miss that time. And you can find me at Take Heed to the Message on YouTube. I'm always running my mouth 24/7. Come and chime in with me. And that's it. Everybody have a good night.
Thank you, Take Heed. Appreciate you for allowing us to spend time with you one more time. You know what? Tonight's message was a very important message, because we want to make sure that we have a little bit of responsibility over our own actions and over our own bodies. You know, as far as controlling the box, ladies, like our pain said, you got control. You know what I mean? Don't look at it as if this is the only chance you'll get to have sex. You know what I mean? If you just decide you want to be with somebody just to be with somebody, you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't hold out for the right person for the right reasons. You know what I'm saying? Your outcomes would be better if you exercise a little patience. The fella's gonna be there. Please believe that. But my thing is this: you're not gonna be able to elevate them where they need to be to have them to have access to you. It's a win-win situation for everybody. It's a win-win situation for you, because you're gonna get somebody who's gonna be there for you when you need him to be. And it's a win-win situation for him, is because he's gonna have to be the best version of himself, which would ultimately help you as well too. So my thing is exercise a little caution. You know what I mean? Make sure that you have proper precautions in place and make sure that you take care of yourself. And also we want to make sure that we have the conversations that we really need to have. I always say that you need to know your why. Know why you're getting married. Know why you want to be a wife. Know why you want to be a husband and have those particular conversations. Ladies and gentlemen, you can catch me on Sundays and Mondays and Tuesdays, you know, on my channel from time to time, also on Black Man Unfiltered on Tuesdays and also on the Barbershop here on the Black Man Unfiltered Network. I want to thank everybody for coming out to Talk That Talk Tuesday. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to make sure that you guys make sure you hit the like button. If you support the channel, make sure you hit the Cash App and make sure that you show your love. You know what I mean? Without your support, there's nothing that we couldn't do. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you guys for coming out. And thank you. Good evening and good night.
Subscribe now.